Bam. So let's jump right into it. This class is on Powerhouse vocals. This is advanced. I want to talk about some issues that I don't always address in the group classes. Sorry, it's a little ashy. So, but yeah, so just lotioning it up a little bit. But yeah, I want to address some issues that I don't typically talk about. So I'm going to be skipping some things that I'm not going to talk about yawning or certain other aspects that you're used to hearing me talk about because I want to get to different aspects. So this will not be comprehensive. It's not addressing everything. I'm focusing on two main things. The first one being anchor points other than the lats. The fact that I'm biased in favor of the lats still, but I want to give you some alternatives to know that you can do other things. Number two, well, actually three things. So number one is alternatives to the lats. Number two is actually using the support. What I'm learning from working with a lot of you from Patreon, definitely not all, some of you here are definitely on point, but the majority of you think that just hearing the information means that you've mastered it. You'll tell me, oh, I watched you say this 2, 3, 4 times, but you're not even trying to do it. And what you'll tell me out of your own mouths is, oh, well, I wasn't thinking about it or trying it, but I'm sure it was still working. Yeah, no, that's not the way this works. You actually have to show up. When I say show up, you have to be mentally present and mindful to make it happen. Sure, if you practice it 1,000,005 times, eventually you can get to the point where you don't have to think about it. Just like if you can recall learning to type, at first it's like, hey, see, and then eventually you can just type or text without even thinking about it. But you don't start that way. Or just like if you start when you learn to drive, it's like, okay, blinker, mirror, and then eventually you can just carry a conversation and drive. Not like this, but whatever, but you can drive without thinking about it. But my point is, some of you are really eager to get to the not thinking about it part, and that's fair, but you have to think about it first. There has to be a moment of thinking and showing up and practicing mindfully first. And so a lot of you, you love the idea of being a master of this, and I love that for you, and I want that for you. But there has to be a moment of you being a novice, of you exploring your body and really feeling. So I want to make that clear. There's no amount of knowing that can replace doing. You have to do it. And what I would like to do in this class is drill some of you. I see almost everyone has their screen blacked out, which is fine, your prerogative. But at some point, I would like for some of you to volunteer and do it. Because again, what my concern is, never in my 26 years of teaching have so many people proven to me that they had the deeply held belief that just listening while likely looking at your phone simultaneously is enough. Again, I know I sound like the grumpy old man. The human body has not evolved to assuage your ever waning attention span. You still have to show up. You still have to do the thing. So the fact that you want it and you want it right now, that's cool, but your body demands that you still do the work. So especially if you're pursuing this professionally, but even if it's just for fun, why be here if you're not going to really do it? So I can't emphasize enough. Listening is great. It's not enough that you got to actually do it. Okay, so the third thing is placement. I've avoided talking about placement for a long time, and I'm going to explain why when we get to that. But there is such a thing as natural forward placement, or what I sometimes call organic placement, with some of you guys who work with me one-on-one, and I want to get into that as well. But to start, I want to warm up the body. Sorry, some coconut oil is like still in there. So again, my preference is your latissimus dorsi. It's opening up and out from the sides of your back. And just to show you, you can close or you can open. But to anchor means to muscularly flex and stay there. I like using the lats because they are the biggest muscle of your upper body, and of the muscles that you can consciously control, they give you the most bang for your buck for the vast majority of people. Just to refresh your memory ever so quickly, for those who, this is going to be a quick review. Like I said, I don't want to make this about the lats. I'm just using this for context. Everything on my computer is going slow. Okay, there we go. And here. Okay, so let's open that up a little bit. Boom. This is your lats, or these are, the latissimus dorsi is really like one big muscle. But I like this picture because it kind of makes it look like two like wings. You have a left and right side, and you open backward like this hood of a cobra snake. So some people call it the cobra back. I don't care what you call it. They're colloquially called wings in like the fitness sphere. So whatever you want to call it, as long as you know how to use it. What I want you to get, The first law of vocal power is openness. We have to reinforce the openness, especially the louder, fuller, stronger, more piercing you want to be. As the body collapses to the midline, you're going to lose power because your lungs is where that breath is stored. And if the space around them collapses, you're squeezing the air out, and then it will either dam up against the muscles up here, and you'll get the mama don't like you, she like everyone. And that we hear that a lot. But if you like the way you look, I started off singing very much so like this. Justin Bieber wasn't a thing yet, but the style. I was inspired by Boys to Men, and I would do that. But if we open. My mama don't like you, and she like everyone. But if you like the way you look that much, then baby, you can go and, whatever. But you get more freedom if we're open. But what if, for whatever reason, you can't use your lats? Maybe your physiology is different. I've had students with medical things that we were born with. I had a student who's a brilliant singer when I was in DC who just had like a smaller rib cage due to a medical condition. She looked normal, quote unquote, if you just looked at her, but she had a smaller rib cage. She couldn't support well from there, and she had a longer torso. And so we want your first anchor, an anchor being a muscular point of focus from which you can derive a sense of control separate from this. You want to move away from the midline. So we want So you can also use your obliques, which is typically easier because unlike this denser, more like skeletal muscle up here, which is very hard to learn to control, here you can push out at the onset of sound. This typically gets reduced to pushing your belly out. You are engaging the entire abdominal wall that does include the belly, but it's really the lateral anchors. So like the Still method, from which this largely comes from, although she didn't invent the concept, but she made it popular, Joe Still. People reduce it to push your belly out. No. It was here. I'm gonna give you guys this to play with as an example. I'll give you guys a little behind the curtains understanding. So, not that, but when I train vocal coaches, I train them to take people through basic arpeggios like that, or even or you don't have to sing it all voice teachery like I'm doing, sorry, but it can be but the reason why we do this on a basic is because of this reason. So I'm clearly not a keyboard teacher, but anyway. But if someone doesn't have that first anchor, you're gonna hear this. If you sound something like that, I'm giving a hyperbolic example. But if you're getting instead of a smooth you're not anchored, which means power is gonna be a challenge. Or even the So I tell people it's like a resistance band. This is the lightest weight. I'm pulling this open, and yes, I have it stretched, but it wants to do this. It's resistant, so it wants to do this. So in order to stay open, I can't just relax. I have to stay pulling, because the whole time I'm pulling this way, the band is trying to pull me back toward the midline, hence the isometric exercise. So this is isometric work, because yes, I'm staying still on the outside, but I'm working. I can't relax. If I relax, I'm gonna come in. That's how support is. So what I want to get across to you guys is there's no way you can be doing it in a totally relaxed state. You can use smart effort and efficient effort, but it's not going to feel effortless. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you are in love with that idea, but the reason why your progress is stalling because you got to let that go. It's not true. It's not true. You need to mourn the loss of that fantasy. Great singing is never effortless. It can be beautiful effort that feels invigorating it can be such efficient effort that it feels akin to effortlessness, but it will never be truly effortless. You've got to try. You've got to do something. I know we hate effort now, but we gotta fight back. So when you're opening up here, doing this is constantly wanting to happen. So you have to keep fighting. Same thing with this. This wants to come in, so I have to constantly make this happen. So what does this mean for you right now? I want you to try this. We're gonna start small. Just or or I don't care where in your range. You're all muted. You can't bother each other. You can't bother me. But I want that interval. I want that third. And so, but I want this. This is not my strongest place to support from, but just follow the basic idea. So, notice I'm not going, It's not back and forth. It's only, it's only out, until I'm done. Again, that's not my preferred place. For me, it would be, and you can hear how much stronger that is for me, but that's just my body. I'm also a broad-shouldered, big-ribbed person, and so you might have a different body type than I do, and that's perfectly fine, you know, the ectomorph, endomorph, all that stuff. So test it out for yourself. One of my issues with support is that teachers often make the mistake, and I'm human, I've been guilty of this, where whatever works for us, we're like, this is the thing. It's the thing that worked for you, and maybe that's 100% true, but everybody is different. So the principle of your first line of support is that you want to have an moving away from the midline of your body. So either from the sides of your back ribs, bum, 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 or from the obliques, But part of what throws people off, I think, when you work with me one-on-one and we get you on track, what a lot of you will tell me is, oh my God, that's way more effort than I thought it was going to be. In the beginning, it's going to feel like that. Yeah, and I see some I wasn't trying to quote anybody, but I think there's at least two of you that I know can relate to that who are here. And so, and in the beginning, that's just the reality, because your body's not used to being used in this niche way. You can be very fit in a conventional gym sense and be very weak in terms of singer strength in this type of isometric exercise. It's an isometric hold. We're resisting the collapse. We're resisting gravity. I was about to do defying gravity, only not. But we're defying gravity because we're resisting it once, and we're also resisting breath pressure. So we're trying to maintain and resist this vacuum thing that's trying to happen. So what that means is, let's try this a little bit. And I'm going to go up some half steps. I want you to try a few with me. So it'll be, you get the idea. So let's try this. But I want you to use whichever your preferred method, and I know there's solar plexus and other stuff, we're going to get to that, but for now, our first anchor being something that's moving us away from the midline, either at the lats, which is really more the back. When I'm doing this, it's just easier arm-wise, but it's really more from the sides of your back, or from your obliques. Something is widening as you sing, okay? So let's try this. I'm going to stop. Thoughts, questions so far? Can you feel, please don't do it like this, but my point is, can you feel the outwardness of that the whole time? And you can put a question, or you can raise your hand through that in the queue on the chat. If you do, there's not that many people here right now, so it shouldn't be too cacophonous, even if you did just unmute. But anybody have any questions about this so far? Okay, so let's test it. So what's been happening too is, and I've mentioned this in one of the videos, and this part's normal. This is just a normal part of learning. So people will attempt to engage support and really just end up squeezing every muscle in their body, and then they'll say, oh, support's exhausting, or it's making me sweat. Like, well, yeah, it would make anybody sweat if they suddenly started clenching every muscle in their body as hard as they could, yeah. So it's not that support is so hard, you're doing it in this excruciating way that it's not designed to be done. So you gotta put your mind in the muscle. Number one, I can't emphasize enough. You can't just copy the way you think I look. You can't trick your body. You've
Hello?
gotta really feel the muscle
Hello?
engagement. And so,
Hello?
hey, yes, but if you could in the future, like either raise your hand or give me a heads up instead of just interrupting me mid-thought. But yeah, but you had something to ask or say? Okay, so yeah, so if you put me in the chat, or if you want to like do the hand raise thing, just give me some kind of forewarning. Not talking as I'm in the middle of making a statement. So with that being said, you've got to put your mind in the muscle and really feel it. You can F, you can grunt, uh, uh, but you've got to really feel the muscle. You can't fake out your body. It's a muscle flex. It's a real muscle flex. You can cough gently. You can chuckle sociopathically, like I'm doing now. Whatever helps you to get it. I really like. And typically my fake laughs lead to real laughs, and so you want to find V works, some kind of real muscle, but don't just copy it. You gotta really feel it. Damien?
Okay, so quick question. Now, when I'm singing through the lats, it's more so when I'm trying to do the cough thing, it's not going outwards, it's more so going inwards. Now, is that just a strength thing?
It could be a strength thing, it could be a sensitivity thing, it could also be a muscle memory thing, by which I mean what's supposed to happen ideally is when the glottis closes for a cough or just sound, the solar plexus firms and protrudes forward, and the lats uh, uh,
Are supposed to go out? Okay.
kick out. Yeah, but if there's a lot of tension, now if you do a real cough and your lats come down or your rib cage closes a little bit, that's not the worst thing. But for this controlled kind of way we're doing it, if you're closing the glottis without your throat, and I'm coughing hard on purpose, you don't have to cough this hard. No, no one has to cough this hard, but it should make it go out. Or you might feel it down there too, depending on your body. But you should feel something kicking out. For me, my lats kick out and my waist comes in. And so, but yeah, but you want to do that. And this is the thing. We know it needs to go out. So if there's a sound that makes it go in, just don't use that sound right now. I mean, if you have like a show tonight, or if you have a theater, if you have a studio session or something, pick the sounds that do make you feel like it's going out. And then, when you have free practice time, of course, work on the weaker sounds. But it's normal to have some sounds that work better for you than others. There's nothing strange about that at all. So for me, like I said, F is a go-to. And it may be different for any one of you. We're not the same person. But for me, F and V works really well. And I have some
Yeah.
days where other sounds don't work as well. I like variety just for the sake of not boring myself to tears because I've been doing some of this work since I was 14 years old, as far as the training part, not teaching, but training. And so sometimes I'll change it up. But there are certain go-tos for me that I kind of know will almost always work. And I think over time you'll find what those are for yourself too. But yeah, but with the cough, it should make stuff go out. So especially the solar plexus, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in a second. But that upper part of the ab should firm and protrude forward. Yeah. Did that make sense? Is anything? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Great, great. So also, don't forget when it comes to the lats specifically, you can find it with the inhale. So if you inhale through resistance, you can feel an increase in the muscle tone at the peak of inhalation with like the gasp of surprise or the happy surprise, also with the sniff. And at the peak of inhalation, if you hold your breath for a little while mindfully, you can kind of feel like, oh, my back is holding it. You can do similar things with the obliques. You can and feel the tension there. And here's a good test, especially even if you're a master. Let's say Damien has mastered this and you understand how to access the muscle. You still need to warm up. We're not robots. And so a good thing to do is to breathe open. And it's also a good tester of your support too. Breathe open and then hiss. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So with the lats, it would be, I'm going to use a gasp of surprise, although you can use any kind of breath you want, but I'm going to, and then, I'm still open, even though this is coming in. My shirt is draping, but this is coming in, but this is staying open. Now, if I use my obliques, even though this is not my strong suit, I can still do it. Well, let's see if I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to open up. That's not bad, but as I'm judging myself looking at this small image. But yeah, you want it to stay open. If however you get this, that's not what we want. Or if you get this, then that's not what we want. So you should be able to hiss for a long time until like 80% of your breath is gone. I know you don't have a gauge on your body that you can see clearly, but you want to be able to get most of your breath out on that hiss. An even more bigger challenge, and I want you guys to actually do this if you can right now, is to, whichever one you choose, open up laterally away from your midline through flexing or through breathing, whichever you want to do, depending on how warmed up you are, what you want to explore. You can change it up if you want to. It won't bother me either way. But then trill. If you're getting this, that's not it. And no matter how much you try to do your posture, I've done these classes enough to know that somebody believes that all you have to do is stand up straight. That's not going to do it. So you can try to be as militaristic as you want in your posture, but it's going to close. So you have to, or what I want you to realize is that to support the voice doesn't just mean to grip muscles. Support is about yin and yang. There's yin, which is the outward flow of breath, and then there's yang, which is the resistance. So the yin is that feminine flow released element, which we absolutely need. That's where the no, that's where the sense of like prettiness comes from. Who's through drought and famine, natural disasters. My first student of the day, who would have thought I'd get you? We talked a lot about like getting the flow of it, but also we need the resistance for the sense of control. Because without that resistance, through drought and famine, natural disasters, my baby has. So we have to, through drought and famine, natural disasters, my baby, da 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 da. It's gonna make it sound solid, even when you're doing something that your audience may perceive as effortless. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P. If you want control, there has to be this, and I haven't even gotten to loudness really yet, but the louder you want to be as well. Ah, if I it's gonna implode. Or ah, something's got to go out. And so if you do that, that's a huge part of belting. It's a huge part of singing louder in general in a way that is safe. If you don't utilize the core muscles, these muscles are going to do it, and they can, for better or worse, depending on who you are, but they're not going to last no matter who you are. So you want to find some midline work, but there has to be flow and flow resistance. So what does that mean? I'm going to give you this, and then I'm going to ask for a volunteer in a second. So get ready if you think that could be you. Let's do this. Just can you do that? And you can play around with this as I'm talking to you. If you're getting this, we don't want that. Or you have to make a choice. Whatever you're opening up, you have to keep it open. That's what we call it, active support, active opening. You have to keep doing that. So it looks like I'm staying still, but remember, just like with this, yes, I'm staying still from what you can see, but I'm still pulling, because if I don't, this is gonna happen, because it's always trying to happen. So as I'm doing it, I'm not just staying in place, but it's, or it's perpetual. Even when it looks like you're staying still, it's perpetual. And even if you can't see it, you can absolutely hear it. Because ah sounds very different than ah. When I keep feeding it, the tone is more alive. And so, oh, you can hear it and you can feel how easy or not it is to move through the register. So what I want you to know is, again, I'm being very sassy and blunt because I'm learning that most of you aren't hearing me when I say it in a calm way. You're hoping that I'm being extra or being a strict teacher. I'm trying to tell you how to do it. Most of you have a fantasy that you can just indiscriminately clinch as hard as you can and that it doesn't matter any finesse or any actual skill. What I want you to know is that's not true. You have to put your mind in the muscle and do it smartly. If I just clinch up everything, that's not support. That's just me clinching everything. So if I'm going to use my lats, I just want to engage from there to the extent that I need. And like I always say with this poor tissue box that's been through it, every time I hold this now, I think of Leora Nasco telling me that my studio is where tissue boxes go to die. But I can hold this box. I'm using finger strength. I'm not going limp. But for some of you, I'm saying, hey, just hold the box, and you're doing that. That's not necessary. It's just not, guys. Just hold the box. So engaging muscles doesn't mean that we have to engage them to the utmost extreme, to the point where you're literally seeing red and have to call an ambulance because you're like shot your blood pressure up. That hasn't actually happened. I'm just being extra. But you just want to engage to the extent that it takes the pressure away from your voice. And so when we push outward or flex outward, it stabilizes the breath so that it doesn't all rush up to the throat, essentially. So you want to keep feeding that in a steady way. And trills are a good way to measure. Now, can I have, well, I'm going to give the last part before I ask for a volunteer because I don't want you to feel tricked. So actually, let's go a little lower and make this easier. What I want you to try on one breath, or I'm just trying to move through different parts of the range with different trills to show you. The principle is go down on the trill, up on the ah or o, up on the vowel. The key is we're opening. That trill lets us know we've got breath flowing. And then the ah is us translating it into actual singing because you don't sing through a perpetual trill. Unfortunately, it would make this work a lot easier. But would indicate that you threw something off balance. Either you stopped resisting or you stopped flowing, but we need both. So I need to resist, 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 and flow, flow, flow. Both things are happening simultaneously. This is perpetually happening, and this is perpetually happening. Anybody willing to volunteer? Oh, Damien? Yes. And let's go. And obviously, some of you I haven't worked with, so I don't know your range. If something is too high or too low, we'll just work that out. But for now, to start, can you do low?
Oh, oh.
Good. It's cutting out a little bit, but that's Zoom, not you. By the way, guys, if you can, and don't worry about it right now because I didn't give you a heads up. That's my fault. On Zoom, there's a setting in the audio settings to put on original sound for musicians. Otherwise, it views a lot of our vocal sounds as noise and it just cuts it out. So it'll just clip it. But in the audio settings, there's a section that says original sound for musicians on, or original sound for musicians, and you want to turn that on and put that on your main screen. If you're on your phone or something, you actually have to adjust it before you sign on. So sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. That again, that's on me. But for now, I could hear enough to ask you, can you just do it again?
heard
Not
that push
bad.
at the end.
So, what was that?
I said I heard that push at the end.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's something you just want to be mindful of. And part of it is this, and I'm actually glad you did that, Damien, because even though it wasn't bad at all, but a part of this is trust, is the mental task of trusting the support. A lot of times, and Damien's not actually a great example of this because you're actually, for the most part, pretty free. But a lot of times, you guys will engage from the right place and then still grab this. And some of you will get indignant and say, "You mean to tell me I can engage the right muscles and still grab this?" Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's very possible to be open here or here and still choose. So part of the work, once you're open, is letting go and trusting your lats or your obliques or abdominal wall or whatever you're going to use, trusting it to hold you. And that's part of why we do this work. Can I do a different thing with you, Damien, if you don't mind? Can we just do and again, I'm going voice teachery, but it can just be ah. You don't have to do anything fancy, but yeah, just that.
Uh,
Good. What are you using for your main anchor right now?
Lats.
Cool. Can you try this for me? So I want you to clip it at the end. Ah, ah.
Uh, uh,
The second one was even better. So good. What I want to make you aware of too is dynamic control. You can affect the tone of the contraction per what you're singing. So uh, what's the thing? Uh, uh, Lullaby Birdland, that's what I always hear when you sigh. Never in my wordland would there be ways to reveal. What I'm trying to demonstrate hand gesturishly is, would there be ways to reveal? If I want to accentuate something, or I think of I need some love, yeah, yeah. I think like Summer Walker or something. You won't see it, but I'm kind of pulsing the contraction, and I can also soften it if I'm doing something really easy. So I feel like I'm always bringing up Justin Bieber, and there's no shade to him, but it's just that it's relatively easy. But I get my peaches out in Georgia, yeah, that's it. That's a relatively, I'm not having to use a lot of effort, you know. But if I'm singing Jeff Buckley's version of Dido's Lament, memories create no trouble, no trouble in my breath. That's way more effort, even though it looks the same. The contraction is firmer. Just like you can make a fist gently, or you can make it firmer, like you're squeezing a bean or something. I don't know, like you're trying to squeeze something, and you can make it so firm to where it's like trembling. Same thing with your lats. You can control the pressure, and so I can flex gently, and so I'm flexed, and it's yeah, I can control the intensity of the contraction, and so that's just something I want you all to know that you can do. And so you may have to adjust it. Like for example, and I want you to try. Let's go a little higher if you don't mind. Uh, so in fact, let's go here. Everybody hates this, so so we're gonna go there. So I want to do that with you. But when you're doing the trill, everyone, it's going to feel easier because the semi-occlusion of the trill is helping you. So it's going to feel easier to do it. But when you open up to the O or to the ah, whatever vowel, when you're practicing on your own, you can do whatever vowel you want. In fact, let's go to an ah for you. Um, that was really good. That was way better than mine. I shouldn't have done such a half-assed demonstration. That was good. That was good. Can you do it again?
That
Good.
one's
Let's go a little higher. Good, good. And I'm going to come back to you as we get to the placement part because I think it's going to put a cherry on top. But your support sounds pretty good to me, actually. But how does that feel right now?
It still feels it's the trusting part, like you said. Like you gotta trust the support is just gonna
Yeah.
carry you through it.
Yeah, I think the second anchor we're going to talk about today is going to help with that. It's going to make it feel more intuitive because I know that you understand it in an academic way, but I'm hoping to help you feel it more viscerally with this next thing. But good. Does anybody, we'll move on to give someone else a chance, but for now, does anybody else want to try before we move on? Lori? Yeah, please. So can we do this? I just want to start off with from wherever you're moving from. Or I don't care the register because no one's asked that yet, but people typically do. I just want to hear that you're connected to your body. I don't care if it's mixed voice, head voice, chest voice. I just want to hear that you're connecting. So whatever that means for you right now, with whatever you got, do that. But
Ah,
good. That sounds solid. Can you do it again?
ah,
What happens if we do that here?
ah,
Okay, good.
ah.
What about or or some kind of trill? Good. We can do the whole thing.
Let me do
That
that.
was your brain getting in the way, which is fine. And this is normal. I'm glad you did that. Because this is extended, there's going to be a part, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but a part of your brain is going to think something to the effect of, how do I get through this whole thing? I just need to get through it. I want you to, yeah, it's very normal. And you're also going to wonder, how am I going to conserve my breath? I got to manage my breath. I want you to instead focus on just lingering in on the lesson. So the first lesson is, can I just keep the trill going while I stay open? Even if you had to take an extra breath, okay, I'd rather that than rushing through it. But, and then the second lesson is, can I keep this flow going? What we don't want is, it shouldn't suddenly get tight. Because what that means is, and of course I'm exaggerating, you did not sound like that. But what it means is we've shifted anchors. So it's a human inclination when we want to control the voice, and I'm asking you guys to exert control. You're going to want to grab up here. It's a human thing. It doesn't matter your voice type, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your genre. You're going to want to grab here. So the mental training is, no, I have to resist. It's like an itch you really want to scratch, but you shouldn't because your body's trying to heal or something. So if you can focus on the perpetual expansion, yeah, just focus on that. Again, you don't have to make that sound. I'm being extra, but sorry. And no, this is good. Can you hear how it's slowing down a little bit? Instead of which means we're probably starting to tighten the abs too much. When we get too tight here, it is again, it's a normal thing that you might not be thinking about at all, but we kind of can start to grip here. Can you allow, even as you're open here, the abdomen to move to let that breath flow?
Okay. Ah, I felt the difference in that.
Yeah, and I think we can still get more flow. I'm not mad at that. One more time, I'm gonna do this. Wait, it's my fault. So I'm still like, I'm still hearing. Sorry, that was unintelligible. But can we, uh, uh, what I call the witchcraft of singing is the idea that we can sing into parts of our body or from parts of our body in which there is no vocal fold tissue. I want you to think of singing either into or from the tension in your lats the whole time. So, oh, I want you to turn this off completely because this is still trying to help you a little bit. And the way you can tell, and again, I'm rehashing this for everybody, this is very normal, is if your trill is flowing smoothly and lowers is flowing very smoothly, both ways. So if you can get, then you should also get, oh. But if you get, oh, you started tying stones to your voice. And so your voice, and that's typically stuff from up here. And we're going to address that more directly in a second. But sometimes it's as simple as being more aware of it. So can we see, and it's going to feel like you're out of control, but let it feel kind of sloppy. Yeah.
Okay. I started feeling myself squeeze. I felt myself squeeze. Yes.
It's totally fine. At least there's an awareness. I could see it on your face that you're like, I'm doing the thing. But the awareness is the key. I don't have any problem with someone not instantly perfecting it, because even if your brain gets it, your muscles need time and your muscle memory needs time. As long as you can catch it so you know what you're aiming for. My whinings always happen when people have the issue and ignore it or try to assuage their egos by pretending it's not there, because we can't grow that way. And so, but as long as you can catch it, then it's what I'm happy, and thank you for this. You didn't do the, oh, well, it probably was still right. No, the body connection is there, but the flow is being impeded, so we want to work on that, and we will in just a second. And I think that for both you and Damien, I think what I have in mind for the second part of this is actually perfectly where you guys are at, because you're well anchored, but we want to get the flow to be just as matchy, and I think you're going to like what we're going to do. But let's move on. So the first anchor is some kind of outward flex. It is athletic. You cannot fake a lack of muscle strength. So the last thing I want to say going forward, I talk about this a lot, but as some of you know, part of the reason why I'm able to stay in this very nice home, in this very nice neighborhood, is because I work with celebrities. Almost always it's because they've injured their voices. And almost always they know what should be happening. And almost always they think that the knowing is enough. So a big part of my work with them is kicking them in the booty and saying, hey, that thing you think you're so good at, prove it. And I give them this. And they go, and the ball doesn't move, or this happens. We're about to start selling an air approach version of this very soon, by the way. So if you haven't gotten one already, wait a little bit, because I'm going to start selling a cheaper version. Better, still good quality, but cheaper for you guys to get from air approach. Anyway, but what should be happening is this. Spoiler alert, I'm making this look very easy, and it's not. And so don't hold yourself to the standard that I'm giving you, because it's not. You're probably going to go, and that's fine at first, but you want to challenge it. Or this is not even the strong part of my body, but I'm staying open pretty well. I'm trying to shop. It's a little bit of drop, but I'm not going. Whatever you choose. Again, for me personally, that redundant ass statement. Me personally, myself, but me, I prefer my lats, but use what works for you. The reason why I keep saying it's okay to use this, some of my favorite singers on earth operate from the abdominal wall. Emphasis on the oblique part, that lateral expansion, even though the belly will move forward a bit. But Angel Blue, one of the best sopranos I've ever heard. She's fantastic. She uses that more form of active support. Cynthia Erivo for a long time used it until she had to be harnessed up and had to use her wings more. She's talked about that in interviews. But there are a lot of rock singers who support from that place and from the other place. It's part of it is your physiology. Part of it is your medical history. I have clients who've had surgeries or been in car accidents, and because of that, their rib cages don't work the way they did before. And so we doing this is a wonderful alternative. Some of it's just based on what you like. For me, this it tends to give a kind of compressed nasal quality that I don't like for my voice, but a lot of my students, especially my musical theater students, love it. And so it depends on your voice and what kind of EQs your voice, because you're all not bass baritones the way I am. So it's kind of what's going to bring balance to your instrument. For me, the lats, let me float, because my voice normally feels like, it normally feels so heavy, but this, it feels like, and I don't like that. But you may be better at it than I am, and that's okay. I am not perfect, so it's okay for you to be good at things that I'm not good at. So, with that being said, like I said, when Damien did the trill to it was better than mine. It just was. And so, but yeah, so use what works for you, what makes you feel like your throat disappears, and what lets you blend your registers better. It should feel better. Don't go just by sound, but it should feel better. It should feel like your throat's disappearing. And also, if you want to listen to sound, focus on your ability to blend from chest voice on up to head voice and then back down. That's going to be a stronger indication than just, do I think I sound good? Because sounding good is so subjective. You can be doing horrible things and still be pleasing an audience. A lot of singers get injured at the peak of their fame. Ariana Grande had a hemorrhage in 2015 right after she blew everybody away singing at the American Music Awards, just standing in front of the microphone singing the house down. I think whatever award show it was it the Grammy? It was something, but she sang in the dress by herself, and it was just amazing. Sam Smith had to cancel tour not once but twice. The tour was happening because everybody wanted to hear Sam Smith because they're a really great singer, but you can still injure yourself. Whitney Houston famously was Whitney Houston. They said she had the voice of God and then had to cancel part of her tour because she lost her voice. So it's very possible to sound incredible as you're injuring yourself. So listen to how it feels. Don't push past pain. Don't push past discomfort. It's okay to feel sore in your lats. It's okay to feel sore in your abdominal wall. It is never, 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 no. It's never okay to feel sore up here. It's never okay. We don't want to feel sore up here unless you're sick, and that's still not great. But you don't want to feel sore from singing up here. That's not like feeling a muscle burn. That's not what that is. You don't want that. So moving on, we've got that. The second place is placement. Natural forward placement. What is placement? So placement is the felt sense of acute, focused sound energy in your face. I can literally feel like I could touch it where it's at in my face. What people get wrong about placement, a lot of people understand that forward placement is a thing. They know they like it when they hear it. So instead of I can't. Uh, uh, mm, on the wings of my love, I'm flying over mountain and meadow and glen. On the wings of my love, I'm flying over mountain and meadow. A lot of times when a guy is singing like this, and I like it so well that for all I can tell, I may never. We say, oh, Jeremy just can't sing. But if he just, and I like it so well that for all I can tell, I may never come down again. I may never come down to earth again. If we just let it come here, people go, oh, that's singing now. Now you're talented. And that's not the way it works, but that's how people think. I get accused of being talented every day, and it's hilarious to me. But I'm like, no. But that's but thanks. I know you mean it as a compliment, but that's not. But no, I had to put it all together piece by piece. And one of those pieces is placement. So what it's not, because I know placement's one of those things that people talk about constantly. It's not natural placement is allowed to happen. It's coaxed into happening. You can't shove placement into happening. So is what people think forward placement is, and it's not. Use the NG as your guide, as in the word sing, sing. when we make this sound, wait, where's my stuff? There we go. That's why I have this to ground myself back in. Yeah. Yeah. So, example, I see this a lot. Let's say someone knows how to support, right? And we could have had it all, rolling, and they're just trying to scream, and they're engaging from the right place with just screaming. What placement will do is take all this stable power you're chambering, rolling in the deep. It helps us to find some focus. We could have had it all. And so it helps to bring us forward here. We want that. I always do the I went way down. It takes pressure off the throat because the sound energy is kind of coming above. Sound energy is a real term, by the way. I know it sounds made up, but it's a real thing. So we want to feel the sound energy in the face here, and we want it to arrive there. It's going to take so much pressure off, but you can't force it. You've seen me whip this guy out before. The vocal tract, basically the pathway between your larynx and the front of your face, sound wants to, even if you're singing low, but who shall abide the day? It wants to come here. If ever it's stuck here, but who shall if it's stuck, it's not for you to shove it here. You cannot. The question you should ask yourself is, what can I let go of so that the sound energy can flow here? Because it absolutely wants to. I promise you it does. It wants to come here. That's what the sound energy wants to do. Come to the front of your face, your nose, your eyes, your upper lip. It wants to come here. So if it's not, the question is not, how can I force it to come to the front of my face? The question is, what can I move out of the way to let it happen? So I'm going to give you a couple tips that no one else is going to give you. A bit self-aggrandizing, but they're just not as good as I am. And that's okay. So the point is, here's some stuff to think about with placement, including a juicy little tip. And I'm going to give him his credit because I did not make this up, but I'm smart enough to know who to learn from sometimes. Number one is the NG. It's classic. Kirsten Flagstad called it the silver thread that was the soul of her voice. I bring up Kirsten Flagstad a lot. She's an iconic opera singer. Typically, when you see cartoons of opera singers, the cartoon lady with the spear and the Valkyrie horns and it's a Kirsten kind of thing. She was famous for her Wagnerian opera is like big voice singing. So that material is very big. I cite her a lot because she's famous for this big, powerful voice, right? This Greek goddess kind of voice. But she described the feeling as a silver shimmering gossamer thread, like a spider's web being pulled from her face. So she was saying, I know you guys are hearing this big, voluminous tidal wave of sound, but I'm feeling this. And I often say that in common parlance, we might compare it more to a laser. So when I say power is skinny, I don't mean that this is a powerful sound. I'm aware that it's not. But the core, the marrow, the infrastructure of a powerful sound, most people sing boneless. They do boneless singing. You need bones to your voice. The bones come from finding that squeaky, creaky quality in the voice. And NG is a great way to find it effortlessly. When you do the NG, the back of your throat up here kind of closes gently. Not here. It's not, but back here. Because the tongue lifts up and the velum or the soft palate comes down. So in the back walls of your throat, it gently closes therapeutically, redirecting it all here. You should feel like your voice is very stretchy. So people who want to do whistle tones and stuff, that's something to explore. Yes, exactly. That's exactly why, Lori. So this is very related to, in fact, there's so many different variations, but one is, there's a common soprano exercise, typically done octaves higher than what I'm going to do because testosterone said no, but and you can kind of explore those upper places. And so it just, it's not about brute force, even though I am gently supporting. I'm not even working that hard because NG is so energy efficient. It boils the voice down to like its center, almost like pulling a single strand of hair, like so. But there's something that Kirsten called the awning, which I think is so important, and I think singers should practice it. And we're going to give you guys a chance again to volunteer in a second. But the awning is this idea of, so context, just doing the NG sound is a smart warm up, is a great stretch. All sounds are not equally conducive for stretching. People laugh when I talk about my students saying, I can hit the note. Oh, I never. I can hit the note, Eric. I'm like, the note's hitting you back, girl. She's winning. She's hitting you. You got to move. You got to move. So it's not to say that we never, because sometimes online people are like, are you saying we should literally never try to sing high notes and never stretch? The internet's so funny because I'm like, don't do that. So you're saying you hate animals. Like people just could jump to crazy conclusions when you say one thing online. So you're saying that you hate America. No, but what I said was you shouldn't scream the high notes. So what I'm telling you now is there are sounds that are conducive to stretching. A basic ah is not one of them. But an NG, it should be easy to find fry at the bottom, your lowest register, and it should be easy to find squeaky, thin, heady goodness at the top. And so it should also be easy to glue the middle. I talk a lot. Years ago, I worked with a coloratura soprano who was doing Il Dolce Suono. And I learned so much from coaching her because I realized, even though she had this incredible voice and she had excellent support, because she thought of the sound as she kept reaching this ceiling. But if you think of moving inside your face, if you can travel inside while I'm talking. The beautiful thing about you being able to mute yourself, feel what I'm talking about as I'm talking. You should be able to feel the sound energy moving around these kind of labyrinthine tunnels of your face. It's in the front, but it can also move a little bit back. It should still always be somewhat in here, but it can move a little bit back. I know when I do my highest notes and when I get into my whistle tones, which I try not to do too much because I don't like the way it makes my voice feel, but it goes a little backward for me at the top. And so everybody's faces are different. I also have a visibly deviated septum. But you have a different face than I do, even if we look alike. So you need to feel for yourself. So one of the aspects of placement that I hate that other teachers teach, they teach forward placement as a single place that everyone has in equal measure across the board. Hunter's face is not my face. Damien's face is not my face. Lori's face is not my face. And even if you think that they look like my siblings, that's racist. No, I'm totally kidding. No, but even if we did look alike, that doesn't mean that the internal structure is the same. And I have 3 brothers and we look a lot alike. That doesn't mean that our internal structures are the same. And so you have to feel it. And that's one thing I don't like about the way placement is taught. It's taught like, just bring it forward. No, you have to explore what forward is for you. Damien's forward is going to be different than Hunter's forward, than Lori's forward, than Melissa's forward. And like I said, sometimes it goes a little bit back even, so. Just to emphasize, it also applies to low singing too. It's not just for high notes, although it makes high notes way easier, like a lot easier. But you want to find that. But with the awning, this is one of the best things you could do. Make it a fidget spinner that you carry with you all the day long. It's just so easy. Engage your support, your lateral expansion, whatever that's going to be. And in case you're wondering, like, what about the solar plexus? Because you haven't mentioned that too much. We're going to reintegrate that in a second. But when you're doing the NG, so we're firm, with our lateral expansion, and then we're gentle but focused here. I want to emphasize there's no amount of brute force that would ever make it better. And that's really hard for people to accept. And I really get that. It doesn't annoy me because I understand when you're first learning placement, doing it right feels a little dissatisfying. It feels kind of like, oh, that's it? That's anticlimactic. You know, it kind of can because it's so gentle, but the power is through focus. So how this shows up, the ahning is simply going back and forth between NG and an ah. I often call it an NG chant. That's what my body wants to do. There's a good chance that what you're going to do is this. It's going to be so tempting to do that. But for this exercise, I'm not saying you have to sing like a little. I'm not trying to turn you into Ariana Grande or Brandy or because there are singers who really do just stay here and it really works for them. It's part of their signature sound. And you may not want to do that, which is fine. But this is still going to be the core of the tone regardless. So when you're doing it, or even resist the urge to yell it or belt it. Let it be thin. NG is going to also incline you towards headiness. It's not your enemy. You need that. The stretch you get from focused head voice, like an NG, is what stretches your ability to belt in chest voice and your belt mix. One of the reasons why people can't belt consistently is because you're only using thickness. And the belt is a combination of not just this thickener muscle, the TA, the thyroidnoid, you also need the CT. For most people who want to belt and struggle with it, the cricothyroid muscle is severely underdeveloped because you avoid it like the plague because you think it's your enemy and it's your savior. And so it's just that it needs to be squeaky. So you don't just want to, I don't mean that, but I mean, that squeaky, witchy, like Lori brought up, that witchy, creaky, the squeak, creak, crackle, and buzz. That's the core of power. It's in the center of it. You don't, but you focus on that center. So let's try this. I want everybody to try this with me. Of course, you're all muted, so you can't bother me. We're going to go. We're opening up. I'm not going, but, or, and you might notice a difference in case somebody notices this later. With the lats, I prefer preemptive engagement, meaning that I flex first. I kind of flex my inhale and then I sing on that. If you're going to use the lower part though, this muscle is squishier. Even if you have the strongest core ever, it's not bone. And so you can engage this at the onset if you choose to use your abdominal wall, meaning you can engage it at the start of the sound. But for the lats, I do recommend that you flex along with your inhale or flex your inhale so that you're engaged from the start. Because this thicker muscle, it's harder to maneuver in the moment. So that's just my 2 cents. But do what works for you. You want to be open. Open it up and keep it open. But we're finding gentle closure here. So most people should be able to sing this. This is within like the middle range for most humans, regardless of your voice type. Even though it might be a little low if you're a very light voice or a soprano. But still, if you got to raise it up a little bit, do so. You can go maybe, if that's a little bit easier. But I want you to notice, if you're really in your NG-ness, it shouldn't feel like, it should feel so easy. Maybe mentally challenging, especially because I won't stop talking and you're trying to focus. But it shouldn't feel like a physical, grueling thing. Even your support shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be working that hard from your anchor. It shouldn't be that hard for you. It's more of a finessed. Remember the steak knife versus the butter knife. This should be so focused. And so what I want you to try from this. I want you to ride the trajectory. Once more, I'm going to show you what I didn't do. I'm not doing this. I'm not just singing it. I know that most of you can sing these notes with ease. I want you to ride that pathway of the NG. And see how that feels. This is giving you a core. It's strengthening the bones. It's giving your chords a stretch. You don't have to sing light and pretty like this all the time. You can add the to it later. But even when I work with my gospel singers and blues singers and rock singers, we start here. And so even if we dirty it up later, it's a wonderful, safe way to explore high notes. It's really good for that. Yeah, when I do sometimes the Ring of Fire thing from what's his name? He's a fantastic vocalist. He was on America. Adam Lambert. We would. It's so easy to explore that way. It's so small. So if you want to hoot and holler, it's such a good way to do that. Say something, I'm giving up on you. That's so much easier to explore than just going right for the strong part. And so I 10 out of 10 recommend it. But can you open up? I'll show the high version. While you're playing with that, what are your thoughts on engaging hips, glutes in tandem with engaging the lats? Well, for one, they should engage to some degree naturally when you first flex. So when you bring your awareness to your buttocks as you flex, there's some amount of glute medius engagement and pelvic floor engagement from the jump. And also, the thing about engaging the glutes, be careful. I don't know if you saw this first part, Byron, but people tend to really be synesthetic. I mention this all the time, especially if you're a dude. You probably think clenching more muscles means more power. It's not quite that cut and dry. So if you're just squeezing these muscles with all your might, you might end up dampening your sound and actually pulling it back instead of letting it soar. So there still needs to be suppleness. Your glutes should activate somewhat naturally. And that can just be from sustaining a note for a very long time, or sometimes I'll have students do an extended hiss. So and typically toward the end of your breath, your body has to work harder to compress what little air is left, and you'll feel your glutes and pelvic floor, maybe even hips kick in toward the end. Or you can do a little bit of knee bending with different breathing exercises, and that will naturally help to engage the glutes and the hind quarters of the body, from which we can derive some additional anchoring for sure. But you don't, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth because you did not say this, but you don't just want to clench your butt as you sing, because often that's what it gets reduced to. And I sometimes tell people, I had an opera student a few years ago in Maryland, and I went to an opera he was in, and the lead tenor that they flew in from out of the country kept pelvic thrusting on stage. And my friends were like, yeah, do we just not know opera? Like, and I had to explain to them that that was somebody doing a technique really crappily because he was trying to clench his buttocks. And I don't know if I don't think he's here today, but Angel sometimes talks about being told to squeeze the walnut. And so there's a lot of talk in the classic world, especially about like glute clenching. So please don't squeeze your butt. But if the glute engagement happens organically and reflexively, that's great. Or maybe with a slight knee bend to trigger it, that's great. But don't just make it clench. Another good way to feel it is straw in a cup of water. If you bring the straw toward the bottom of the water, and you need at least a good 16 ounces of water, don't do a little small cup or anything. But if you do it toward the bottom and you keep the bubble small and steady, you're going to feel that hip glute action, and you're going to feel it around the crack of your buttocks because of your coccygeal muscles, and you're going to feel around the sides of your buttocks that kind of glute medius engagement, and that's what you want. That's going to help to anchor things. You're also going to feel your pelvic floor kind of contract in a Kegel-ish manner. So hope that helps. But anyway, so does anybody want to volunteer for me with the awning? Hunter, yes. Jace, thank you. Can we try? Actually, to start, can I just hear you slide around a little bit? Just a.
S is perfect because mine is bad. I cannot go as high as you. So listen to this.
Okay. No.
Sing.
here's the thing, and I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you did that. It's not bad. It's just more tense than it needs to be. So yes, the back of the tongue does lift for the NG. It's just how we make an NG. But can you try to relax the base of this goes to for everybody. Try to release. Try to relax the base of your I keep portmanteauing words. Try to relax the base of your tongue as you do it. Because if you're gonna thicken your folds, but if I and I do like to do a sing in front to get some breath flowing, but if it's inclining you toward maybe it's giving you too much punch, just try going right to the NG without the S and see if you can relax it better, but a little lazier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think that's more of the realm that you want to be in for that. You can still stay strong, within reason. I don't think this is a place where we have to work that hard, but you want to give a gentle engagement. So let's start small. Good. So can we try this on one breath? So we went and we dropped it. Better, better. And still, because when we're moving, this wanted to help on the way, this wanted to help lift it up. Lift it
Yeah.
up. But we want trust the sound energy to move in your face without you helping to push it from behind. Let's try that again. So just to show you what I heard, I'm going to exaggerate. But hands off. It's going to feel really kind of weird, but don't grab it. Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to move through our registers a bit too, and that's okay. And again, I'm not saying that you have to sing like this all the time by no stretch. 'Cause I know you do a lot of powerful stuff, but this will give you a better foundation for that powerful stuff and more elasticity and youthfulness in the voice. Well, you are just objectively young, but maintaining that even as you get older. So let's go here. And this is common when you open up.
Yeah.
I want you to let the jaw go. It's funny, my first student today, he was using this a lot as like kind of an anchor. Just let it come from above. Let this go, almost like it just is turning into smoke or something, like it's not even there. But I don't want you to try to seek grounding from this. Let it go. It's going to feel a little wild, probably. Typically, when you initially start liberating the voice in this way, it feels a little unruly. Just know that that's normal if you feel that. But let's do that again. Not bad at all. And your NG is really good. You're connecting really well. Because that's not easy. But can we do this one note?
Yep.
So this is something for you to work on, but what's happening right now is perfect in G. I want you to let the ah come from the NG place.
Okay.
That's going to be so much better. Yes. Yes. And now we're giving this a focal point. I think of it like the tip of the pin. Like all of the ink and stuff is here. We need this, but boom, we write with this. That's what we write with. We want a nice sharp. We could do calligraphy and stuff with it or sketch, you know. So we want that nice sharp.
Uh,
Mm,
wow,
yeah,
that
but
feels
good.
completely different. I've been doing NG wrong this whole time. That feels so different.
That's what we're here for. So that's fine. That's why we're here. It's totally fine. Yes, yes, yes. I think of NG as a stretcher and as a gentle coaxing into natural placement. But I do find it's funny when I teach people this one-on-one, I often say most online vocal coaches who did a course or something and then decided that they're vocal coaches now, or they'll learn a couple tricks. They typically almost always teach NG way wrong. Like, do like this, effortless. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Craig. I'm making that name up, but like, yeah. But you want it to be gentle. Mm. It's just a gentle coaxing of sound energy. The mechanism of NG itself is powerful. We don't have to add any umph to it, aside from just giving some gentle support from here. And again, emphasis on gentle. I'm not working hard at all. And I'm a sweater, but I'm not sweating from this because I don't have to. So, because this is just not, it's just not that hard. So, and it's not that hard for you either, but good job. Also, we can do this with a bit of a song. Is there, can you give me like real quick, like a phrase or two, and you guys can play with this on your own as well as me and Hunter go through this, just using your own respective songs, of course, or use whatever song he comes up with. Can you sing like a line or two, not even a full verse, just for the sake of time of anything? It could be an original if you feel like it. It could be someone else's song. I don't.
Uh-huh. This is the hard. Wait, wait, wait. So you just want me to wait? Tell me what you want me to do.
Can you sing a couple lines of any song a cappella?
Okay. Um. Post Malone. How does that one song go? Circles. Oh, it's way too high. Um. Put me on the
You can
spot.
sing
Okay.
it lower if you want. Yes,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just to give us something to play with. Yeah.
okay. Okay. So he goes. I couldn't turn around till we were upside down. I'll be the bad guy now, but no, I ain't too proud. That's the phrase.
Good. Let's just do that. So I don't know this song, so I'm just gonna copy off of you, fix whatever.
Okay.
But I could have turned around, da 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 da. So I'm gonna engaging here, gently coaxing sound energy here. So give me strong, well, whatever you use, lats or strong obliques.
Yep.
Focus here.
Okay. Mm. Okay.
Yep. Can you do both lines with that? And everybody
Okay.
else
Okay.
do this with whatever song you're singing
Okay.
through it.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Good. You're in the right place. And this is the thing, there's no pressure to be perfect, whatever we think that is right now. I just want you to
Yeah.
have this idea. So go through it just like that, but also the awning would be. I'm just opening up kind of at
Oh.
random. There's
Okay.
there's no special, but I just want to see if I can try to find if I can start building a bridge between and my actual singing. So can you try that?
That's hard.
Yes,
That's really hard.
it is. And I would still say, even on your ah, you could be gentler. 'Cause,
Okay.
but even when I work with, even when it's a student who wants to do I want you, I need you, oh God, please. Even if we're doing that, it's gonna be it's gonna be so gentle and cutesy, you know. So I don't want to hear the actual soulful richness of your voice, which is a weird thing for me to say. But for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one exercise, I just want to. I just threw myself off with the song you were doing, but can you, with your song though, can you one more time, gentler and clear? Good. when you sing it with words this time, I don't want you to shove the tone to the front of your face. And this is another thing people mess up.
Uh,
Even when they do the NG perfectly, because your NG is improving rapidly, it's singing is not going to feel like the NG because we're not going to have a perpetually semi-occluded pharyngeal space. So you're going to have to gently remember the feeling. So if that NG is 100%, if it's that's there. That is there. But that's not as intense. Ba-da-da-da-da, it's more like a faint memory of it, and just accept that that's going to be the case. So can you sing it with words with a gentle awareness of this and see how it?
Okay. We couldn't turn around. Wait, how loud should I sing it? Is the question. Because I'm singing it
As
with the. Okay.
the volume doesn't matter as long as you can still feel,
Okay.
although you probably don't want to go super loud because it's probably going
Yeah.
to pull you out of it at first, probably. You might want to err on the side but remember, this is a classical technique. So
Okay.
originally, so it doesn't have to be soft.
Mhm.
But I'll say this for everybody. If a certain dynamic level of softness or loudness takes you out of it, then steer away from that temporarily. Do whatever volume level lets you stay in this pocket, kind of most
Okay. I'm gonna do it close to. It's not loud. It's like medium. I guess I'm gonna do it close to the text, and then let's see let's see how that goes. We couldn't turn around till we were upside down. I'll be the bad guy now, but no, I ain't too proud. How is? Because I forget.
That's not bad. That's
It,
not bad. It's fine.
okay.
Yeah, as a base. So now, if we want to add more can we give more from there and still couldn't turn around? Da 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 da. It's my turn now. Can we hear? But more effort from here to give it Yeah.
We couldn't turn around till we were upside down. I'll be the bad guy now, but no, I ain't too proud.
I like where that's going. I would keep exploring that. So
Okay.
you gradually add on the weight
Mhm,
without losing this or compromising this. And so
mhm.
you can gradually open it up. But that's not the final, that's not your final form. But that's a track that will allow you much more consistent freedom. But how does that feel right now? Thoughts, questions on that?
Feels easier than before. It's hard to explain. It like felt a little rough before, but it's getting where it's smoother. Does that make sense? It's feeling smoother.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. I feel like a lot of people use placement in a way that makes singing harder because they're like, and they're trying to shove it here. But authentic, natural placement establishes a path of least resistance. And
Mhm.
so singing should feel easier. The effort should go down. And so part of what I want you guys to get from this, so many people view power as a push. And there is some degree, your primary anchor, you have to, there's muscular effort for sure, but there's a focus that has to happen. And I find that a lot of people don't ever get the focus. And they, even if they're very strong and well coordinated in their body, so there has to be a focus. And if we're in that place, we can add so much more and we can go crazy. So, but I'm not going to just demonstrate you guys to death. So we're going to move on. But that was a good job. So, can we do one more thing? So, one of the aspects that robs singers of their power is this, and I don't teach this often, but you're going to get it today. Uh, So, the suprahyoid musculature. So, this area under your chin, under your jaw, is a voice thief. It's a power thief, typically because of this muscle, your digastric muscle, digastric muscle or digastric muscle, whatever you want to call it. But it's this, and it typically tightens up when the body is not sufficiently supporting and when the vocal folds are overloaded and when we don't have good thin edge function. And that's why we get the that kind of you hear it a lot in pop and R&B music, especially for men. You can hear it with women too, but it's more obvious in a male voice typically. But all of these muscles under the tongue just kind of create a fist, and it makes your vocal cords thicken up. And so under here, you see we got some teeth here. I don't know if this is clear, but under here, all this area, if it gets tight, and for most of us it is, this is going to create a fist. The base of your tongue, all of this musculature, and it's right above your vocal folds, and it presses on your cords. And when people feel this resistance, this their first instinct is to push and tighten more, which is pouring gasoline on the fire. And I remember last time, Ali, we were talking about finding the grit. This is so important. Es muy importante for finding the grit. You cannot find grit, in my opinion, safely without mastering the ever controversial vocal fry. So how does this all work together? We're going to do this. You're going to be like, Eric, you could have just made the class this part, because this is what changed my voice the most. Trust me, you're all going to feel this way. But vocal fry is just, and actually, let me turn this off, because I can hear it. I know Zoom is blocking it out, but it's loud for me. Everybody can hear that, right? The problem with vocal fry is, I consider it a Rosetta Stone for unlocking the voice. Some of you have heard me say that 80% of my confidence as a vocalist comes from vocal fry. It does a lot of magical stuff. The problem is, it's really easy to do in a way that squeezes your entire throat. So how do you do it in a way that doesn't? Number one, we want to establish really good breath flow. I like starting with aspirato. Ha, ha, ha. A lot of people don't associate this with power, but you're gently waking up the source of vocal hold power, which is your inner edges. We essentially want this white part. This is where the that's where it comes from. It comes from here. If we get into the thick fold mass, this makes you it feels like you're doing more, but people aren't hearing more. So this is when you call me baby. When you call me baby. The tone can just move more, even in a headier place. I don't have to be stuck. You're gonna get that. So vocal fry gets us right to those inner edges. It's not quite that literal, but that's a good visualization for you. It also works that cricothyroid. But if we get the ha 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 going, we're tapping that mechanism. Ho 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 ha ha ha. Ha, ha, ha. It's very gentle. Again, brute force does not make this better. If you use too much force, you're gonna block the voice. Ha, 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 ha. It has to move. Yeah. It's got to move. I was getting kinda used to being. I was getting kinda used to being. As we gotta let it out, so it can't be stuck. But then, can we go from an aspirato to an edgy hum? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. And I'm still gently supporting. Ha 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 ha. I'm not going ha 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 ha. Or ha 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 ha. You can ha 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 ha. So this is very flow dominant, this vocal thing we're doing. So we gotta resist a little bit. Ha 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 ha. So this is being pulled in and up because I'm using my lats. You might be doing that, but something's got to resist. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Find that fry. You want to find fry gently. Ha 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 ha. And this is getting us into the fry slide. This is the supreme source of vocal cord power. It's squeaky, creaky, pliant, edgy. It can take so much time. So as much as I was whining stuff in the beginning of the session, with this one, please, I have all the grace in the world for you taking a long time to figure this one out. Fry is tricky. So you have to be really, sorry, I just realized something. You have to be really focused, and there's no amount of brute strength that's going to help. Can you describe the sensation? You always sing with all your resonators, Byron, but soft palate versus hard palate, the difference is kind of an intentional thing. If you really, but also remember, you can't sing into space that doesn't exist. So if you engage your soft palate, which it doesn't have to be fully lifted, but you want to feel some kind of engagement. Typically, typical classical singing versus ah, ah, ah. Typically, the hard palette is going to give you brighter singing. For people who don't know what the hell we're talking about, if you do a hootie sound, hoo hoo ho ho ho, hoo hoo ho ho yeah. I tend to think of soft palette focus as being more classical. Most contemporary singing, there's not a soft palette focus per se as far as the placement, although they can be, and that depends. Sometimes I'll do that, but hard palette, hun, hunna, like honey, hunna, versus ho, ho. Typically, if you're in the soft palette zone, you're going to be covering, and it's going to give a darkened quality or even a Kermit the Frogish quality sometimes. Some people love it. Christina Aguilera uses a form of it, so does Cher, so does Giveon. Oh, I can like this every time. You know, you can use it. It depends on what you want to do. If you're in musical theater, you do need to learn how to use all of the above. It does matter. When I work with my Broadway students, morning time and evening time, summertime and winter time, best you've got your man. So you want to be able to do the legit stuff, and you also want to be able to do the, maybe I'm brainless, maybe I'm wise, you've got me seeing. You want to be able to change it up because they're not the same kind of approaches, and so, but you want to feel the resonance. So hootie stuff is typically going to get you that soft palate ho ho ho, and hun, like Hun, hun. You can literally feel hun, hun, you can feel it, but also this is an answer nobody likes, but when your voice is really free, all the resonators get used at random times and it's more organic, even though there is a kind of a what do you call it? Like an anchor of it being mostly this kind of grounded and forward placement. But there's also aesthetic placement where you can adjust placement as per your aesthetic values, but that's up to you, meaning stylistically you get to choose what sounds you want to an extent. And yeah, so I feel like right now what's still popular, especially in Western classical singing, is an over darkening soft palette lift. It can also add some stuff to a belt or something if it say something, I'm giving up on you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. And so I just lifted it. It's a subtle shift, but it's a little more eh, eh, if I engage it. So it depends on, again, it depends on a lot of factors as far as whether or not you want to do it on purpose. But also know that a healthy soft palate should kind of move naturally as you sing, which is one of the reasons why we yawn and do some of those other things. But if you're singing, typically when people have a focus on soft palate singing, there's a classical background. That's not an accusation, I was just saying. But yeah, so if you're singing contemporary music, I wouldn't sweat it too much. I would just focus on letting it happen organically, unless there's a specific reason you want to do it. And for me, there are certain types of singing that lifting the soft palate makes it sound better to me, makes it easier. But I don't make a habit of consciously engaging the soft palate, but you can. And that's another anchor point, actually. So I wasn't even going to bring this up, but since Byron led me to it, your soft palate, you can consciously lift it. You don't have to, like the solar plexus. So your soft palate and your solar plexus should respond naturally to your chord closure. So I look at these as kind of tertiary anchors, even though to give you the whole thing, and this is going to be nuanced, I hope it's not too confusing. Can you consciously choose to lead with your solar plexus? Yes, you can. I even have a segment on the Patreon called Magic Point Singing, where it's all about focusing here. You can also consciously lift the soft palate and sing from there. I always get his name wrong, David Phelps. No more night, no more pain. The Christian singer with the blonde curly hair. And praises to the great I am, the risen Lamb. He does this big high note. His primary focus, he's talked about it, is his soft palate. He constantly lifts. But my thing is, just be honest about whether or not it's working for you. Don't get caught up in the fantasy of the technique and ignore the reality of what's actually happening. Is your range actually blended? Are you actually throatless? The risen love. Does that feel easy? No. Or harder? No. Be honest about what's happening. It could be that that's not the anchor for your physiology. It could also be that you're just not that good at it yet, which is also fair if you're not used to doing it. But lifting the soft palate can, for some people in certain situations, do a lot. But and I know the internet really makes it an even bigger deal, I feel, than it deserves to be. But my thing is, if you warm up that pharyngeal spacing up with yawning and exercises like the or aning, it'll start to awaken that natural springiness of the soft palate that we want. And so, yeah, I hope that didn't make things worse, but I didn't hope that didn't muddy the waters. But I like to give people, when it comes to anchors, to tie it all together. Most physical anchors, except for placement, obviously, involve flexing muscles to create and reinforce internal space. So we're trying to create space and keep the space. Create space and keep the space. Create the space and keep that space. Or create space and keep that space. So the anchors that work best for you are going to be different for each individual. So part of why I wanted to do this class was to say, yes, I do think the majority of you should focus as the lats as your primary anchor, but if for whatever reason, I don't know everybody's individual medical history, mental history, blah, 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 there's so many things and just individual body quirks and idiosyncrasies and stuff, you might find it better to engage from here for you, for whatever reason. You might find it better to engage from here or from the soft palate, but I do prefer that you choose the lats or the obliques as your primary place, and anything else would just be bonus. One more time, just to show you. No. That's really tight. That's really relaxed. If I activate my soft palate, that's objectively bigger. But is that always appropriate? Maybe not. And so sometimes that's not, which is why classical me would sound crazy trying to sing gospel and R&B and pop songs that way when I was that kind of singer. But ironically, if you're someone who does a lot of screamy type stuff, I will sometimes ask you to really flex that soft palate for extra protection. It can have a shock absorbing kind of effect. So that's another thing with the, I can't even think of any examples, but down the stairs, the tennis all-star joint. Got a jukebox that goes to toy. Come on, Cecil, give me $1. Come on, Cecil, give me 10. So I'm just kind of, the conscious lifting just kind of takes some of the pressure off. And that was kind of a cop-out because I have students who sing way harder than that. And you can, I'm just too lazy to do that right now. So, but anyway, but you can really go crazy. And again, whether or not you use that, it depends on your individual preferences and what you need. Because for a lot of people, if you're supporting really well from your primary anchor, the soft palate's going to move naturally anyway without you even thinking about it. And the NG work we've been doing is going to make the soft palate responsive anyway. So, yeah. But anyway, last thing. So this is the magical part. Once you found the fry, I'm trying to give you some tips. Finding it through NG, finding it through aspirato and humming, Then you want to check the underbelly of the jaw, under here. Brace with your index finger, your forefinger, and feel. And if you swallow, I can feel a muscle push against my thumb. I want you to feel that. There should be like a push against your thumb if it's there. That's a good thing. It helps to make sure that my windpipe is blocked off and I don't choke on this water. That's good if I'm eating or drinking. It's bad if I'm trying to sing at my fullest or trying to sing a high note, because it's gonna press and create chord thickening, which is gonna make it harder for me to get the overtones that make my voice cut. It's gonna be harder for me to go higher in my range. So what do? I'm gonna thank Brett Manning for this. He taught me this years ago when I was a freaking teenager. I'm gonna tell you to be barbaric, be Amazonian, whatever word works for you. I know I'm like the king of like be gentle, like be really gentle. This is not gentle. I want you to get up in there. So just think like, "Rrr, rrr." So I'm not just gonna rub like la la la. No, I want you to like I want you to shear it. So and I'm shout out to Sue Hitman with the melt method. I want you to pin it and then move it around, like really get up in there. Uh, uh, uh. An easier thing to check sometimes too is can you get I mean get up in there like you're like digging up in there. Can you still blend? If you can't still blend, you got a problem. Please brace with your index finger because what you guys are going to want to do because you think tension means power, you're going to do this. And you're going to get really tight and you're going to think you're doing something and you're hurting yourself. So, because if you do this, you're going to do that and then you're going to do that. Use this so that you can brace yourself and can let your jaw go. This should not create more jaw tension. It should be less. So I'm kind of, so we want to really get up in there. I'm not just rubbing the bottom. I'm trying to like get up in there. You're also searching for sore spots. Does anybody have any tenderness anywhere? Sore spots are vocal thieves. If you have a sore spot, the bad news is sore spots are bad. The good news is, however well you sing, you're probably 3 times better than that. So sore spots are blocking your voice. So, okay. Let me see. So, let me do a song. So okay, that's a lot. Byron, I'm going to tell you this because you have a lot of questions. I want to make sure I get to all my stuff. I'm going to ask that in the future, can you please either volunteer and just let us work through some stuff, or just set up a private session yeah, because that's these are very specific and somebody's going to throw us off the beaten path just a little bit. But yeah, but can you describe your experience with singing with power through the passaggio? What I'm concerned about is that we kind of talked about that. So what I mean is this. Wait, whoops, wrong octave. But I'm going to try to connect some concepts together. So I'm going to use this. So I'm having to go from chest voice up into head voice and then back down. Or sometimes when I'm talking to the moon, people think I'm like mixing, and for me it's just really just a dense head voice. There's not much chest voice waiting there for me at all. But there's an hourglass like feeling. I'm exaggerating that, but there's a feeling of narrowing if you're singing full out. But in order to navigate that and build that, we just stay narrow from the beginning. And then, you can add different qualities of sound. But if you don't, what I want to warn everybody against is ignoring the foundational stuff I'm giving you because you think you're past it and you want to get to big stuff. There's not an accusation, Byron. It's just I've been teaching for 26 years and I know most people are like, okay, yeah, but get to the good stuff. You can't write poetry if you don't know your ABCs. If you're not blending with NG, we don't need to be talking about trying to lift the soft palate and sing with our utmost power. We have to have building blocks. If you're not staying open, we're focusing on the wrong thing. If you can't stay open, what are we trying to do fancy stuff for? The foundation isn't there. Why are we talking about painting the walls and light fixtures when the house is leaning to the side? So we want to make sure that the reason why I'm being so extra right now, Byron, it's not against you personally. I've never met you before that I can recall. Or have we? No. Okay. So it's just that whenever I teach group classes, and I talk about this a lot, and I know it always upsets people who were there are people who are like, oh, I've done your programs, I know how to do it. And you can never do it. You can never do it. And the reason why you can never do it is because you think hearing it is enough and you skip over the foundational stuff because you think you're past it. And you never are. You literally never are. So if you can just be honest, you can be so effing for real, can you at any place stay open? If the answer is no, we don't need to be talking about the other stuff. Can you, keeping the voice skinny, mm, can you stay skinny and connect? If you cannot, you shouldn't be worried about trying to belt like the. So these are the building blocks that lead to that, and the power will come organically and intuitively if you have those things. But if you try to skip it, and I know everybody wants to skip it, I get it, because teaching is so different now than it's ever been in my entire career. But you gotta have the foundation. And not once have one of you come to me for a private lesson telling me that you know the stuff, proving to me that you know the stuff. Well, maybe Damien kind of did today because your support was on point. I'll give you that. But that's not common. That's not common. So I want you to make sure that you really hear what I'm telling you. All of this energy is because I keep seeing it. That you go, oh, yeah, I've done it. I looked at all the videos. You mastered it? I'm me and I didn't master it. I'm still learning. Like, you mastered it in 2 weeks. Wow, that's impressive. Wow, can I hear it? Oh, no, I can't do it when I'm stressed. Oh. Okay, so you're a master. You just need perfect circumstances and no pressure at all to do. Okay, well maybe we can still work. I don't know. Maybe we can still work. But again, whatever applies applies. I know that some of this may not apply to you at all because like I said, I'm just basing this off you triggered that with some of the questions because these are the questions of people who typically they think that they're getting to the good stuff, but they're not focusing on the foundational stuff, and that's where most of the magic is. So I just want to make that really clear. Like, make sure that your foundation is on point and be really honest about that because it cannot be faked. And no matter how many times you hear people talk about it, the knowledge you have in your head, if it's not viscerally living in your body, capable of being employed even under duress, then you are not a master. You don't have it. And so you need to make sure that your core is there. But I'm still struggling with gluing the middle. Okay, so there's aapproach.com, and that is my official site, and all the information is there on how to book private lessons. So that's what we do. But yeah, so, and again, when you see David Corey, X Factor finalist and singer of the FIFA Cup song, saying, Eric, made my voice better, or Cindy Winter saying, I almost gave up my Broadway career and I'm back belting because of Eric. What I do with them, these are people who knew a lot of things. I forced them to build their foundation and really work it. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but my consistent experience of people from people online is that they feel like they're the exception. I just want to be so clear. You got to have a foundation. So how do you book a private lessons? Yeah, with me. Yeah. So yeah. Are you French? Are you Francophone? Are you French speaking?
I'm from New Orleans, Creole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. Eric and also. Yes, 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 yes. The foundations, yeah, thanks, Ellie, for the cosign. Yeah, and especially with Leora, she's even worse or better, depending on how you want to look at it, than I am with that, because she's a stickler. Yeah, we have to have the foundation. So, and if you do have the most bomb-ass foundation of all time, Byron, then so be it. But my point is just that people, in my experience so far, that's almost never the case. And so that's just what I've experienced. But just in my 26 years of doing this. But yeah. But with that being said, back to this. So part of what this is going to do is release all the pharyngeal space. And it's another way to feel your soft palate move organically. As you're frying, vocal fry is boiling the voice down to its seed center. Vocal fry is chest voice. The creakiness that results is head voice. We're working from TA dominance to CT dominance, or the thickener muscle to the lengthener muscle. Make it cracky, make it creaky. Cool, totally get that, Byron. Yeah, there's certain questions that people ask because they think it's like typically soft palate and solfege. They sound very internet vocal coach to me, but we want to really make sure, or like we've taken like a year or two of college voice, but the core, because I don't remember seeing you in the beginning, but maybe you were here and I just didn't see your name. But make sure that you get this consistent Latin gig. This alone can take 6 months. I'm not trying to delay the fun. I just want to be clear that being like, oh, I get it. Do you? Like, make sure that you really got it. Or this is a new one I introduced today, but using the obliques to support, that's going to take time as well. And even if you're abnormally adept at catching on to different coordinations, it still takes time to build the literal muscle strength. And that's another aspect too. But with that being said, we have to connect all that to this. And the core, the strongest part of your voice lives in vocal fry, I swear to you. So this I promise you. So if you feel this fighting you, fight back. Push up and move it around. I'm going to give you guys a scale to play with and ask for volunteers, but this is going to change your voice. If you can do it even halfway right, you're going to be like, holy crap, why was I not doing this before? Let's do this. So we're going to go. I'm gently supporting. It shouldn't take a lot of effort for this, but if this was coup de grace, then that tenor high C would be right there, but we're not doing that. We're frying, so it's going to be we kind of scoop. We call it staccato fry, but it's kind of scooped. Normally, scooping is anathema for singers. I know, but for this one exercise, we're using fry to inform the middle and upper registers. For the record, this is a way to strengthen your passaggio. You want to find that the fry mix. It absolutely will strengthen your voice. The tricky part is doing it without strangling yourself. So you want to find it with ha ha ha, and then check under here. Sore spots mean that your voice is being blocked. So here's the sexy news though. The muscle and fascial tissue under here is really easy to release if you fry as you vigorously get up in there. Don't just rub, get up in there. Deep tissue massage, work those knots out. Yes, it is normal to be sore the next day. And if you're really sore, like tender to the touch, and take a day or two off, but you're not going to hurt yourself, trust me. Just remember there are two bellies. You have a left belly and a right belly. So if you use both fingers at once, it's going to make you too tight because the displaced tissue will have nowhere to go. So please use one thumb at a time. And if you need to switch hands, if one arm gets tired, then so be it. But do one thumb at a time. My left side almost never has any issues. My right side, that's where typically I get it. Most people are not symmetrical, so I'm just throwing this out that you might have a side that's, for me, it's right by the chin where I would get it. I'm kind of good today, but when I do get sore spots, it'll be there. Some people are more back around the temporomandibular joint, or like more in the center, or more around the tongue, under the tongue. You kind of have to feel for yourself. You want to explore all of this area, but this is what I want to get you toward. Two things. This, again, can't emphasize enough, literally strengthens your voice. And the sexiest part, there's nothing for you to consciously employ when you actually sing. All of the focus is on the actual exercise. If you can do that, then when you go to sing, it's just gonna be better. Yeah, so it's up, it's up, it's up that I, so we can you're just gonna feel like you can get this focus. You're gonna feel like you can just focus on through it. But I want you to try this. Whatever song you're doing, I can't remember how the song went for Hunter, but something got a hold of me lately. No, I don't know myself anymore. I would you get, so that's an example of whatever. But you can apply this to whatever you want. So, but you are sunlight and high moon, joined by the gods of fortune, midnight and high noon. Uh, 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 I think you get it. It's not going to sound good while you do it, so pressure off with that, but work through it, and I think you'll be very amazed at what results. And yes, actually, Allie, hold on, let me see. Um, okay, so, and before you sing, Allie, let me answer Melissa's question. So, it's very hard to hurt your vocal cords with vocal fry, contrary to popular belief. But if you can hear the pulses, the reason why it's so hard to hurt your voice with vocal fry is vocal fry is the result of a gentle rippling of the vocal folds. There's nowhere near enough subglottal pressure to cause actual harm to your folds, which is why even though people declare it as an epidemic amongst American young girls, I literally specialize in helping people recover from nodules, polyps, hemorrhages, etc. I've never once seen a girl using vocal fry and has a vocal injury. What I have seen is in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, the girl who goes to friggin' LSU or whatever who's in town is like, "Oh my God, Jericho, what?" And I can hear her from all the way through the band, through the noise. I can hear her right here, and she literally I love it here. Like, I'm from Shreveport, and she talks a lot of vocal fry, and her voice is stupid strong. Is it annoying? Maybe to you, that's totally understandable, but it's not going to weaken you. My gripe with vocal fry is it's very easy for it to activate the suprahyoid musculature and some of the constrictor muscles. So, how do you know you're doing that? Often right after fry, if you feel any kind of dysphagia, like a sense of like there's a lump in your throat when you swallow, that's a sign that maybe you were overdoing it. If you feel like an aching or throbbing subsequently, like immediately thereafter, um, and yes, pain is definitely wrong. So if you feel pain, yeah, something's way, way wrong. Or if you feel like your ability to pronounce words and to enunciate has been impaired, then that can be also a sign that you've overactivated muscles in your jaw and tongue root. So, typically that. But in a second, Melissa, if you feel like it, I can listen to you after Ali to let you know if I hear it. But may I sing something for you with vocal fry? And yes, you certainly can, Ali, whenever you're.
Hi, thank you. So yeah, vocal fry is hard for me, and there's a song that I really want to belt this certain part, and of course it's in my Passagia, so and I definitely when doing like I was doing the ballerina warm up and since the last time and also working on the NG with Leora, which is really helpful. I started going
Yeah.
back so I have another related question that's kind of an overall question,
Yeah, sure, sure.
but
And all
anyway,
that stuff is related, so yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but when I was doing the like when doing the quick um vocal fry stuff, I had to go, and I still do, have to go so slowly because if I don't, sometimes it's not fry. And like sometimes my vocal fry is really, really uneven, so that's like nice and thick and juicy, and then it's like a tiny sliver, and then I'm like, what do I do to fix that? And I have a ton of tension here that I'm working on, trying to.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. I just told this to a student this past Wednesday. When I train people one-on-one, those of you who worked with me one-on-one, you'll know I almost never will give you a scale or an arpeggio. Almost never. Because the human mind decides I've got to hit the note, and in parentheses is by any means necessary, and we typically lose all sight of the technique. But I did that because people were begging for it, because it was me giving into what people thought they wanted. It makes people feel like they accomplished something. Just like if I had it my way, nobody would ever get a certificate from my Udemy programs. I actually hate that they give people certificates because people feel accomplished for pressing play, even though they don't actually know how to do any of the stuff. And so they never actually challenge themselves to do it. They're like, oh, I watched it all. And I think because of culture now, people think watching it means they have it, and it just drives me crazy. Like I feel like I hate agreeing with a Kardashian, but nobody wants to work anymore. But what I want to give you, because you are working, you do want to work. When you're playing with vocal fry, I want you to not worry about the scale at all. I'd rather you and feel your way through. Don't worry about a song, don't worry about a scale, don't worry about an arpeggio, just hmm. It's a little boring in comparison, but I just want to feel my way through and I want to respect the hell out of when my body's like, hey, that's too far. Either here or there. In fact, can I just hear you slide back and forth on vocal fry a little bit between, I mean, technically vocal fry is just the chest voice part and the squeaky part at the top is not fry, but you know what I mean. But can I hear you slide back and forth?
At the top, it felt like it just totally went crazy.
Yeah, but also that's not bad at all. Like, okay, can we, one, just do this? Can we add a bit more conscious effort from the,
Oh yeah,
not super crazy, but can we add a bit more conscious effort from
yeah. It feels like
Okay,
it just gets
that's
so thin at the top. Is it
that's
supposed to
the
be this way?
point. That
Okay.
yes, 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 yes. That's
I just
hence
felt
the
like
whole
I
power
lost
feel
something.
skinny thing. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's
Okay.
gonna get skinnier. The longer, higher you go, the further you go, it's gonna get skinny, skinny, skinny. It should still stay
Okay.
piercing. That's why when I did the I messed up the riff, but it's gonna get more narrow is my point. It can't get bigger. And so with the opera singer I was working with, she kept trying to and she kept trying to keep it big. And so um it's got to get more narrow, but this is the thing. The feeling is narrow. It doesn't mean that the sound will be. So that's okay. And so like when I do the walk this way, talk this way, when I do that, it's so skinny. It sounds like I'm doing so much, and I'm not. I'm just really in that skinny place. I know it's an illusion, and Lior can tell you. When I first helped Lior find her scream, she was like, "Oh, that's not what I thought it was gonna feel like." I was like, I know it's a
I can't
little,
wait. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little. Wah, wah. But the point is this: your fry is good. To me, fry is step one. The fry is not bad at all. Can you do this? Can we do a dotted line like a? You had a good. Can we? I don't know if that's coming across clearly, but I'm kind of trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
reattack.
yeah.
But keep that in bang. So this is something to play with. It's here, but we want it in the. We want the fry to be in that NG placement. I don't want you to shove it there, but if you can like, if you can kind of find fry from NG and see if you can keep it in that. Better,
I
better.
feel it there better now. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
And of course, it's going to happen. So that for one, that was really good, and you caught on very quickly. But when you have a chance to really explore it without me heckling you every 2 seconds, it'll be even better. But that's going to do so much more for you right off the bat. And when you're singing with it, you want to aim for that feeling. But I want to give you a chance to actually sing. So I'm going to shut up for a second. What were you gonna?
Oh, so I have this thing that I want to belt eventually. Oh, I'll ask my broad question first because it applies to everything.
Sure.
So I know there's a million things I need to work on, and like one of them is releasing this, and you know, and also the fry and all the little things. Uh-oh, I lost you. Oh, there you are.
Just had to
Um,
sneeze. Sorry about that. Yeah,
no,
go
oh,
ahead.
no
Go ahead.
worries. Bless you. Um, so like, there's all these things that I want to work on, and I don't know, like, should I master whatever? I don't know which one is the first basic thing. Should I master that first and then work on the other stuff? Or should I work on all of it at the same time? Or because I'm trying to release this while I'm doing this and also this
Yeah.
and this. And I'm like, I'm not sure should I just do one thing? And, because like just not feeling this come down when I'm making any noise. I mean, it took me a couple weeks to even get that once. And I'm
Mhm.
actually starting to be able to do that with very, very, very light singing. But like it's gonna
Mhm.
be a long time before, because I think this has been a
Yeah,
huge thing, you know. So
yeah, yeah,
what,
yeah.
how do we approach it when we have so much
The
to
good
learn?
news is the good news is the knee bone connects to the shin bone. So a lot of these things are multi-purpose. So what I mean by that is focusing here is going to help to diminish the urge of this to engage. Same thing with the support, but also releasing this helps to liberate the tones coming in. So everything
Okay.
kind of helps everything. And the more we improve our core closure, our natural support improves and we don't have to work as hard. But also, the better we get with this, pressure up here goes. So everything is this kind of cross pollination kind of thing happening. But what I mentioned on the Patreon, I have at the peak, at the top of the page, it says start here. I recommend in general, and you're actually working with Leora and stuff, so of course, that's the whole point of one-on-ones. You get to customize. I met with a guy, Alex, today. Alex, if you're watching, he was great, and we were able to trim so much fat off of his practice. I was like, you don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be doing this. You can just do these things. And he was like, oh, they're a lot easier, and he was just singing so great. So sometimes, to your point, sometimes you can just focus on like, and Leoris, you're in great hands. So
She's
if Leoris
great.
says, oh,
Yeah.
just focus on this thing for now, then I would just trust that. But generally, this is broad. We want to get our primary anchor down because, and I generally recommend that be the lats, but it can definitely be that oblique area. Because if you don't have that lateral expansion to stabilize the breath, everything is harder, especially when you want to get gritty sounds. Because I had my vocal fold hemorrhage at 19 from doing the kind of sounds I do every day now, but I wasn't anchored, and people told me I sounded great. I unanimously, people were like, you were great. I sounded great. I was very proud of myself, and then my vocal folds began to bleed. So it wasn't, and and they were so damaged. You could have stabbed me in the leg, and I would not have been able to yell. It was terrifying. So that outward thing, that's so important. So I think that's always number one. Number two can be the focus on the solar plexus, but I'm gonna tell you why I'm kind of changing that. In my experience, if you start working on that vocal fold deduction and the placement, uh, uh, the solar plexus should respond to that. Uh, uh, like if you gently cough, or coup de glotte, even vocal fry, and the lower belly is coming in. So I'm getting pulled in here, popped out here. So below the belly button comes in. So bottom of the six pack comes in, top of the six pack goes out. It does not matter if you have an actual visible six pack or not, guys. People are like, oh, we have a six pack. It's not, I don't mean literally, but but you know where it would go. So the top two abs pop forward, bottom two abs get sucked in and up, and so that's what we're aiming for with that. But anyway, master this always. But here's the sexy part too, Ali. You can totally, the thing with the primary anchor, as I call it, of the lats or the obliques, dealer's choice there, is you can still work on everything else as you work that. So any NG sound, any SOVTEs, unless it's a specific breathing exercise, then you would have to let go. But for the most part, I can do all of that. I can do all of that through this. But what I would give for you, just knowing your goals, and this is me not having worked with you today in a one-on-one to see where you're at this point. I would definitely do the lat thing, work that, or the obliques if it's easier for you. But I would say just
That's
again,
easier.
just
Yeah.
from surfacely, I would focus on the lats, and then I would focus on mastering NG and vocal fry, which you're literally doing, and then I would try to figure out how to use that as an entry point into vomitare. So, uh, kind of clear at first, but then use that to access the interrytenoids. Because vocal, it's getting the back of the folds kind of. And if we keep. It sounds like I'm doing so much when I'm just kind of rattling this cartilage together. I'm not actually punishing my chords, which is why afterward I can still, it's not gone. I can still sing.
Yeah.
So, but that would be, and I don't mean all at once, but over time.
Yeah,
So I
no,
think
I
you're right
get
on
it.
track.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, and I do feel like in rehearsals and stuff, I sound better and I
Yeah.
feel better, but I definitely now I notice every time I grip my throat
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have the
yeah.
power or the trust, that
Yes, yeah.
I have it. So,
And
for
it takes time for sure. Yeah,
yeah, but it's
yeah.
helping. So thank you.
Yeah, no, no problem. And I still want you to sing, but I'm going to share this
Yeah.
real quick. I think I've shared the story before, but I want you guys to know it, because it's been brought to my attention that I can sometimes give the appearance of someone who has it together, and no, not all the time. So when I was signed to my big major, when my management team, I was signed to the same management team as Jennifer Hudson. That matters. The head of our management team wanted me to be the male counterpart to Jennifer, and at that time, I was known for like. Gives me love, 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 crazy love. Gives me love, love, love. Singing pretty. And he wanted me to just. There was a song, Step into the Dark Side, listen now. I just remember that's how it started off, written by Keith Marshall, the who had worked with uh, Earth, Wind, and Fire and all these people. And he wanted me to like, But I ended up working with Jeannie Diva, who taught me how to use my wings. I went to Boston, got to work with her. She was a master, God rest her soul. She helped me learn how to do it. She told me, Eric, it's going to take you 6 months to build the power. I was young and I was like, I'm already like 21. I'm so old. I don't have the time. This is how I thought I'm 21. I'm just, life is passing me by, because that's how you think when you're 21 in the industry, and the industry makes you feel like if you're 17, you're old. But anyway, the point is this. After 2 weeks, I had gotten the hang of using my lats well enough to sing with it. I had a rehearsal with Junior Marvin, the guitar player for Bob Marley and the Wailers, my guitar player. One of Franklin's background singers, Jelani, who's Jennifer Hudson's part of her management team now, was like, man, like you sang, you killing it. But they were all there at this rehearsal. I'm using this technique and I'm wailing and I'm, yeah! And I'm running and I'm doing all this stuff. And they're like, oh my God, you sound so good. And my lats were burning, but I was like, sweet, sweet validation. I need more. And I kept pushing. And the next day, as a reward, because I killed it, I had this really great rehearsal that felt like a performance, and all these people just praising me, which I had never had happen before. And they brought me to the radio station the next day with Hercules, strongest man on radio in DC, 95.5. And he's like, this guy's worked there. He's worked with Jennifer Hudson. I think he said I coached Jennifer Hudson, which is not exactly the truth. I was a vocal health consultant. But he's like, he coached Jennifer Hudson. He worked with this person, that person. He's a master. And da-da-da. Eric, sing for the ladies. Eric, sing. And so I go to sing. It's like, I could feel nothing. I was just numb. If you ever had like a leg day and then you try to walk down steps and you feel spaghetti legs, I was like, oh. And I sang on my throat, and I thought I got through it. As we were walking down the hallway, leaving the studio, my manager leans in. He's like, "Man, what happened to you? What happened?" And so I share that
Ouch.
story to say, yeah, I know. It was like, yeah,
I already
I
know you
wanted the
don't
earth
have
to
to
swallow
rub
me.
it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that maybe I played it off and nobody noticed, but he was like, "Ugh, that was what the hell." And so for 2 years after that, I stopped working with Jeannie Diva, and I was like, I blamed her because I had no ability to take personal accountability for. So even though she had warned me, she was like, "You need time to build up the muscles." I just didn't want to hear it. In retrospect, she gave me every warning, and she was 100% right. I just didn't like what she was saying, so I choose to make up my own fantasy of what I wish she would have meant, or thinking that I was just beyond that because I'm like, I'm different or whatever. And so, and I did catch on, but I'm still a human and not a robot, so I just needed to build the muscles. And so eventually, when I later revisited the technique, which she didn't invent, she just taught better than a lot of people, of opening the rib cage, I gave myself more grace, and I was more patient with it. But it can take time, and it doesn't have to take exactly 6 months. Everybody's different, obviously. But one of the things that helped me, and I'll just throw this at you, is just to remind everybody, this is so powerful, even for your biggest singing. You don't have to use this at its strongest capacity all the time. As long as you're just open enough to stay open, to resist the collapse, to resist your throat imploding. So you could even fall a little bit. We want to retard the descent at the very least, like resist that collapse. So just because it's not perfectly open the whole time doesn't mean you're failing or not doing it right, but you want to resist enough to take the pressure off your throat to do the other things. And if you have good laryngeal coordination, that combo of this and this, neither one has to be at 100 if they're both working with each other. So just throwing that out there for whatever that's worth. I know that's a lot that I said really fast, but yes. And so yeah, that. But I'm gonna shut up now and let you actually sing or say anything else that you wanted to say.
Oh, yeah, I'll sing this phrase. Let me just get my note. But it's the end of the phrase that I tend to squeeze my throat. But so it's like, my true love's in every note. It keeps my heart and soul afloat. I'll never two-time rock and roll. I thank God for birth control. That was better than I've ever done it. So kind of,
I
it
was
didn't
like,
hurt that time.
yeah, I was. Yeah, if you see me
It's a
smiling when
little
you watch the
rough.
video back, that was really good. I feel like in my Demi Lovato, she's really good.
Yeah,
If you know
thanks.
the reference, you know the,
But
yeah, but
I
yeah,
really want more grit. I mean, my voice is way too clean for that for me,
okay,
but,
I
but
hear you. Yeah, the growth is evident just from the last time I heard you.
yay.
Good for you. If that's like, that's all I got right now. Okay, could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. There are people training with me right now to get to where you are. So good for you. But if you want to add more grit, the key is to give it some teeth. This is an Ericism. This is not science. Your vocal cords do not have teeth. But we want to get the you want to find some kind of squeak, creak, crackle on every note. Again, vocal fry is a function of chest voice. So up some of those notes you're doing, the where were we? I don't have
Yeah,
perfect
it's like
pitch.
I think it's a C maybe.
That's a C sharp, I think.
Yeah, it's really, really high for me. Yeah.
And you get kind of
Yeah.
you're up there. So obviously, this is what the voice probably wants to do for most people.
Yes, for me. Yeah.
But I would I would use fry to inform it. I can tell my interlaryngeal muscles are fatiguing because my fry is less crackly and my voice is getting clearer than I want it to be. But and it's still gonna give it some meat, even though that's still clearer than even I'd want it to be right now. But whatever. But can I hear you kind of I want. Can you try that? But
Uh, 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 trying to have it
okay,
here.
two things. This is gonna sound weird coming from me. One, you're releasing too much. I need you to hold on to some of the pressure at the top because you kind of went Oh, wait,
Here or
sorry.
where?
It was a. I want you to hold on at the glottis. And really let it come here because it got a little, you'll see it back on the video, but it kind of pulled back. I'm exaggerating, but it pulled back and got pretty. But I don't think that's because your body couldn't handle it. I think you chickened out a little
I don't
bit,
know
in
what I'm
part because you
doing
might have been like,
here.
I don't want to destroy my voice. Fair. So I don't want you to hurt yourself. I'd rather you pull back than, but I think you have some safe wiggle room to. Uh, 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 uh,
Uh, oh, I felt like I did something. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, see, it stopped. It completely blew apart.
mhm, yeah.
Like that
But
happens to me a lot in my, mid range there.
so a good way to just gently glue that together, make it an M. If you close your mouth, make it a squeaky M. Now we can't get the open sound, I know, but just to kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's very clean though. Yeah, it's very clean, but
it
that's the
is.
way I can keep it closed. Yeah.
So we want to get it clean first, then find the grit.
Okay. I feel like an
It's really
idiot.
not bad. I swear, I think this is going to be easy. Two things. One, can you try to give a little bit more, or even a lot more from your wings as you do that?
Yeah, I completely forgot to even think about them at that point.
Okay, yeah, so that's going to be part of it. Fair enough. I'm asking you to think about a lot. Yeah.
See, sometimes it doesn't hit the pitch. Is that when my chords are flying apart, kind of?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
think this is a matter of just continuing to practice it with
Yeah.
consistent support. I don't even hear you do anything crazy wrong per se. I think there's just some weakness we need to strengthen, and this is just a weak spot that you need to work on.
Okay.
But with a closed mouth first and then opening it up. Also this.
Okay.
Obviously, this is going to be very clean, but I do think the NG continually using it is going to give you more flexibility and strength. Believe it or not, it does strengthen, even though it doesn't feel strengthening, but
It does, though.
it does
I
help to
use it a
strengthen that
lot.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when I noticed since Leora showed me how to do it in a way that I'm not pushing, it really
yeah.
is strengthening the passaggio a lot, which is
It
amazing.
absolutely does. And
Yeah.
so a big part of, and it's because, was it Byron or Brian who asked about the, Brian asked a question who's a different person. I'm not trying to make you guys the same just because you have similar sounding names. Where was it? Brian, I'm still struggling with gluing the middle. It was Brian. When sliding through the NG sound, it feels coarse, like I can't get full chord closure throughout the range without using a lot of pressure in my ribs. Do you have any advice to improve that? Yes. Keep doing it. Like, just literally keep doing it. So there's so much benefit to just like one thing I appreciate about my time, even though I didn't work with her very long because I was an idiot, but my time at Jeannie, she really is a perfectionist at that time. Every time I couldn't do something, I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like stupid, stupid. Not literally, but it was like that kind of energy. And she would really reinforce like these are real muscles. You can understand all you want, but you just got to gently work. Tight muscles have to be made flexible again. Weak muscles have to become strong. And now I understand that fascia has to be hydrated and mobilized. And there's so much that has to happen. So all this long-winded ass way to say, I think if you just keep gently doing it, just I can even tell the difference when either because of a holiday break or if I just get lazy, if I fall off doing certain types of vocal training, I will lose range. And then lately, I've been having so many students who have to stretch that I've been having random days where I have whistle tones again. I'm like, oh, I forgot I could do that. But it's because I've been stretching again, and I just wasn't. It's not like it's not about knowing. I just wasn't doing it. So yeah. So it's that. So just keep stretching it and know that getting skinny at the top, even if it feels like I say, like pulling a single strand of hair, or like damn, I could barely see it, or like Kirsten said, like the shimmering gossamer web, almost like you almost can't see it from certain angles. Like, on a spider web, you kind of have to catch it from the right angle. It almost disappears from your sight because it's so thin, it kind of can blend in. Like, oh, it can be that skinny. And and so it can grow from there, but we got to have a core. So, and even that's cleaner than I mean it to be because I'm getting too warmed up. That's another thing. Your intralaryngeal muscles, because I wanted to put some more grit on that. So that's like, it was harsh, but I wanted it to be harsher. But your intralaryngeal muscles can get fatigued. That's not injury, but if you can lose some of the grip, some of the grippiness, and sometimes the tone just gets clear. And just accept it, because I always mention Louis Cato, and I know he's on the Patreon. And so, hey, Louis, I'm talking about you again. But I love mentioning him because he's one of the students I have who he's on TV almost every day, and he sings with grittiness a lot because he has a passion for like a lot of like bluesy quality. He does a lot of things, but one of the things he does well is this kind of I don't need no doctor because I know what's happening. You can always tell what we're working on because I'll keep singing it in my videos that I do. But my point is this: like I've told him before, sometimes people get the cute version. You know, I don't need no doctor, cause I know what's ailing me. Yeah. Sometimes people are gonna get a little cuter version. Because sometimes the grit, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean you're injured. Sometimes the intralaryngeal muscles can be tired. It can be you're getting over the flu. It can be the weather. It can be a lack of sleep. It can be monthly cycle. I love that Leora educates. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but Leora educates about this a lot. I didn't know. It's like it's duh. But people should know because that's not a good thing. But there are so many things that can affect a voice hormonally. Again, also regardless of gender, there are things that people. My whole point is this: you're not a robot. So you want to also, part of all of this work is understanding that you want to meet your body where it's at that day. There are some days where I can go harder and some days where I know I won't, you know. And so like I can tell you this, before the holidays, my grittiness, uh, what's the song? I'm working with a client, uh, uh, damn. Uh, Come, swagger, eyes like a dagger. They don't love you like I do. We're working on this song that she's doing. Before the break, I could sing that much harder. During the break, I wasn't vocalizing as much. I also got the flu. And so I can tell that I don't have the full umph. And I'm not gonna try to make my body do what it was doing in early November. I'm gonna gently build the strength back up. So when I do my vomitare, it's a little clearer than it would have been like, I can kind of fake it a little bit, but it's not the same umph, and I'm getting there. It's getting back. But when I first started again, for the people who heard me when I first got back to teaching after the Christmas break, they got everything was, it was just really pretty. You know, I was like Eric Grande, you know, one last time, I promise after that. Na, na. So I do a lot of pretty singing. Even on one of the videos I did, uh, damn it, was it the Can I live? Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be next to you. I chose that in part because it was easy. So my point in saying that is this: a damnable admission to just say we want to no, we want to just respect what our voices can do in the moment, and there's a fitness element, and I am not exempt from this. I even had a student this past week who was like, you still do trills or you still do vocal exercises? You're so consistent. I thought you'd be past that. No, I'm in it. That's what makes me a master. Not that I'm past it or above it. I'm in it every day. And so so that's another thing to whom it applies. Some of you, not you specifically, some of you have this obsession with being past things. And I know because you tell me so. You go, oh, I'm past that. Okay, if you want to suck, enjoy. But if you want to be great, you need to don't nobody you think is great thinks they're past stuff. Beyonce and Cynthia Erivo and Pavarotti, when he was alive, obviously, they were like, "Oh, I'm past that." No, Pavarotti singing in F. What's an F? But pretend this was great. He's like, it takes 10 years to sing a song. Like you train. It's like they're proud of their fitness. That's why I posted in the vocal nerd thing about presbyphonia and the research regarding phonatory resistance exercise and IMST, inspiratory muscle strength training, the studies are very clear. A lot of what we once thought was just, oh, you're getting older, you lose it, or this happened, you lose it. You just gotta build the muscles. You just gotta and you have to keep working them. And I tell people, look, if you're not a professional, and if you just want to sing once or twice for church, then maybe it's not a big deal for you. But if you want to be your best for any reason, just for your personal satisfaction, or because you're performing live and you want to not hurt yourself, and I know you actually perform with a band and stuff, so you really want to exercise the muscles consistently. There's no amount of knowing that can replace the doing. I know that you clearly get that, but just for everyone, because you're making me think about it. But all that to say, I hear you doing a lot of great things. Just keep doing them. And if you want to up your raw strength, I hate telling you
I
to wait.
just
And then
got
wait till I
one.
start telling you. Oh, you just got one?
I
Okay, well,
just got
good.
one,
Well,
but I
since
haven't used it yet. I don't know what to do.
well,
I'll have to look at a
use
video.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You use this daily. Use it daily. I recommend for people like you, and when I say people like you, people who want to sing with any kind of grit, I recommend 3 sets of 10, 4 times a week. So what that means is I was trying to say, I realized I can't say out because follow my finger. So this
Yeah.
is in, this is out. So You get the idea. So in out is one, in out two, until you get to 10. Of course, taking breaks when you need to. Being lightheaded and passing out is not going to make your voice stronger, but you want to just literally build the strength. Because one thing I love that the articles is, and for the record, there are multiple studies that show this. I just like how simple that particular study was. Challenging the respiratory muscles literally makes singing easier. So the key to effortless singing is exercise, but not at the gym on the treadmill, running on the treadmill and singing. It's respiratory strength training or respiratory resistance training. I like this more than this. I love this, but I like that this gives you a visual cue. What I find is that I'm always mentioning this when I have famous people, and I'm not. There are a lot of people I don't name on purpose that I don't have good things to say about them. But when I have a pompous person who's forced to come to me by their doctor, and they feel like, oh, Eric, I know how to support, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I will hand them this, and I will say, prove it, and seldom can they, because chances are, if you can do that 10 times in a row without stopping and keeping the ribs open and stuff, you're not hurting your voice. You're just not going to do it. Your body was designed to work. And if you can stabilize it and build that strength, it's very hard. Most people, their vocal injuries, it's not just a lack of technique, it's a lack of conditioning. And so, because I find that almost always when celebrities come to me for help, it's sometimes confusing because it'll be someone who sounds like you. I'm like, damn, you sound really good. I don't understand the problem. And then after all, I'm like, oh, you're very well coordinated, but you don't have the strength to consistently do this for the whole 2-hour set, 3-hour set, the whole tour, the 8 shows a week for the Broadway folks, the whole recording of the album for multiple days. Oh, we got to get you in shape. And often they're in great gym shape. Often they're trained dancers. Sometimes they're Olympic athletes, like literally Olympic. So they look like superheroes, but that doesn't mean that they have the specific kind of strength for this. So you want to, and if you don't have this, guys, remember you can literally, although eventually, you should be able to suspend. So I prefer, if you're going to be singing hard stuff though, I recommend I still use this, even though I know how to use my body. I love a as well. I love inhaling tone as well, but this, if you're trying to be meaty, this is gonna help. I'm tapping like fingernails, but like I'm doing an ASMR thing. But yeah, so all of that. So primary anchor, secondary anchor, tertiary anchor. This should automatically work if you're closing your chords well. And this is called it's on here we go. I'm gonna send this link to you real quick. And I'm gonna give you guys a chance to copy it before I close out. But it is on the Patreon, and I do talk about how to use it. Please follow how I teach using it, because it's also used by wind instrument players and people who are just doing it to rebuild their lungs after surgery. The way we use it as singers is very specific. You don't just want to huff and puff. Also notice I have 2 holes blocked with Scotch tape. You can also use your fingers. So I like to have this configuration going with the skinny straw, not the fat straw. And so, and again, for a lot of people, you'll see them doing this. I would not recommend that for a vocalist, nor would I recommend this. That's gonna feel like you're doing something, but that's not gonna do nothing for you. You need this. You need rib cage, opening, and that. Or again, if you're gonna go, in Allie's case, this doesn't apply because she's using her lats, but if you're this person, remember, support is provable. It's not just something you think you might have done. It's an opening. When you're actually performing, if it drops a little bit, it's not the end of the world. But when you're in a controlled situation, when you're just literally practicing, you should be able to open up and stay open without coming down. And so if you're running around a stage or whatever, if you're doing a backflip, if you're moving around, then of course it's okay if it goes a little bit. But when you're practicing, it should be staying up the whole time, and the ball should stay up in a rattling way. You don't want That's not going to do it. You want a little bit of a, see how it's kind of like a hobbledy-bobbledy kind of, that's how you get a supple, strong flow of air. Again, using muscles doesn't mean that you lock everything as tight as you possibly can. It's one of the ways people mess up support and end up burying their voice because there's a sphincter response from the throat. In fact, some people teach it as one of several sphincters in the body, which sounds funny to say out of context. My grade schoolness is like sphincter, but it clamps. So if you get too tight in the body, if you get, this is gonna lock up, and it's gonna feel like you're doing a lot, but it's actually gonna kind of like muffle your sound instead of making it bright and punchy. And that's why a lot of people get trapped because they'll say, Eric, I'm working so hard, because they are working so hard, but they're not working wisely. And so they need to often like a lot of what I do with people to help them belt better is soften their support a little bit, because they're, oh, I'll make you proud of your, like, oh, I'll make you proud of your boy, and then like, oh yeah, that is better. Whoa, yeah, your voice will cut better. And it sounds like strong singing instead of like you're yelling, you know. And so yeah, because sometimes people are like, I did a big high note in chest voice. I'm like, yeah, but it's ugly and it's flat, but it's full chest. I mean, okay, but you forgot to make it be music. It's not like good. So yeah, so we want that. So anyway, but your foundation is excellent, Allie. Hope some of that could be useful. Damien, I see you had your hand up. What's up?
Yeah. So, because I remember you said repetition and how many sets. I remember 4 times a week, but how many reps and sets for the thing? I need to know.
So I recommend, and it's in the thing on, but since we're here, it's not a problem. I recommend 10 reps, 3 sets. Ah, and it's gonna be tempting to, so 10, take a small break, maybe a few seconds or a minute. 10 more, in out equals 1, in out 2, in out 3. So a total of 30 a day. And even if you can only, because of your schedule, let's say you literally only have the time because of work, because of family, for whatever the reason, where you have to do 10 or maybe 5, and you make a note, and then you come back later and you do more. It can be cumulative, so you don't have to start over from scratch. It doesn't all have to be at once. So you might just be able to get 3 in, like, okay, I'm coming home. Okay, and then you have to run out the door or whatever you have to do. But just by the time the day ends, make sure you get a good 30 in. The respiratory muscles are real muscles, which is why I'm always throwing pictures and all this stuff in your face. I'm always like, these is real muscles. I'm always telling you that because, again, not you, Allie, or you, Damien. I think I'm just meeting you today for the first time. But people will often say, oh, I know how to breathe. It don't work like that. No, 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 no. It don't work like that. You either have the strength or you don't. You can't sing on what you know. I was a competitive gymnast when I was a kid and in my early teens. Just because I did that doesn't mean that I can do all of those things now that I did when I was 12 or whatever, when I was 8. I would have to do stuff to get myself back in that kind of shape. You can't sing on strength you had yesterday. And that's something people, I trained in high school. That's really great. Are you going to be using your high school body for this performance? Or, so I don't think people realize that they just kind of, so you want to do this routinely, but because the muscles are real, if you're a performing musician, if you do this every day, you're going to wear yourself out. It's not going to help. So you need rest days. So 4 times a week is plenty. I'm saying this because I either have students now who don't want to do anything or students who want to do everything. And some of you guys are very hardcore. So trust me, I see some of you, I feel like, Allie, you might be a kindred spirit, because I was the person like, I could do it. I could do it. And then I was always having to recover from my hard work. And so I had to learn, like, okay, rest doesn't mean defeat. Sometimes muscles need to, remember, muscles have to recover. So I've been using this device since I was 17. I'm 42. It's been a while. Trust me, you don't want to do this every single day. Well, not 30. If you do it a little bit before a show just to wake things up, that's not crazy. Like if you're like, let me just, okay, you know, just a little bit like before performing, that's different. But you wouldn't want to, you don't do a full workout on the day that you compete athletically. You know, even if like athletes work out, but on the day of an actual football game, gymnastic competition, soccer, whatever, that's not the day you do a full workout right before you step onto the field or onto the mat or whatever. So you just gently wake it up. And so you're physical, but yeah, save this for days when you don't have like a a concert or a huge performance. But do it. And thank you. I appreciate that. But anyway, it's the breathing. It's the breathing. No, but you guys were great. This went overboard. Thank you for enduring my passion. I just, and again, I can't say enough. Most of you, well, actually, I do know you, Lori, and I kind of know you, Allie. You guys are great. But most of you, I don't really know. Oh, I see he's always here. I didn't realize your name was there. But anyway, none of my ire was directed at any of you specifically. I'm trying to warn you based on trends that I'm seeing. So I hope you take it to heart to spare yourself, because I feel like I did a lot of wrong things on my journey to get to where I'm at. And I realized looking back, and the journey's a journey. It's made me a better teacher. But I could have been much better, much faster had I not kept spinning my wheels into the dirt thinking I was driving forward. And so I'm trying to spare you guys some of that, because there, to quote the Bible loosely, there's a way that seems right to a man, but that way leadeth to destruction. But narrow is the way, and few go that path that leads to whatever, you know. So yeah. So I want you to go down the narrow path. It's counterintuitive in many ways. And so listen to your body. Nothing should ever hurt. Well, this can get a little sore, and so can this, but nothing up here should hurt. And this can get sore too. Body can get sore. Throat, no, this don't count. So you're very welcome, Lori. Love you guys. So grateful to be working with you. Love it. Thanks to everybody who came out. I'll see y'all later.